Chapter 1209. Emo Chuan softly said, "Hearing that Xiao Bai can be saved, Mother is very happy. But hearing that has been cured, Mother seems to be a bit disappointed." "Mother, aren't you being too biased?" Hearing her son's blaming words, Empress Dowager Zhou's old face couldn't help turning red. Emo Chuan's words coincidentally pointed out her thoughts. She did hope that Chun Ning's poison wouldn't be cured, and it would be best if she stayed in bed like this. That way, she would have a reason to find another empress for Emo Chuan. As for Chu Xiaobai, he was the one she truly cared about. She had gone to visit Chu Xiaobai before. Seeing him like this, being as thin as a skeleton, her heart was about to shatter. Thinking that Chu Xiaobai had become like this because of Chun Ning, she did not blame Chu Xiaoyang. Rather, she placed all the blame on Chun Ning. Since the day Emo Chuan married her, there had been endless disturbances. Otherwise, why would he let her be bitten by a poisonous snake on their wedding night, even if it wasn't too late or too early? And because of her, Chu Xiaobai's life and death were unknown. Chu Xiaoyang was sent to prison. All of these were the fault of this girl, surnamed Shun. Hearing that she had been cured by the divine doctor, Empress Dowager Zhou was very disappointed. She thought that she had hidden it well, but she never thought that Emo Chuan would still see through it. But Empress Dowager Zhou was old and experienced. Her face only turned slightly hot before returning to normal. "Emperor, what crime did Xiaoyang commit that you want to send him to prison? You said that he stole something from you. What kind of great thing was it that was worth it for you to make such a big fuss?" Empress Dowager Zhou's face turned serious as she coldly asked. Emo Chuan bowed and replied, "This is a large matter of the court. It's best if Mother doesn't ask." Empress Dowager Zhou's face was filled with anger as she forcefully slapped the table and shouted, "How dare you? Emperor, stop using these kinds of words to fool this widow. Do you think this widow is deaf or blind? You are clearly using your position to take revenge. For the sake of that girl, surnamed Shun, you actually wrongly accuse your own nephew and even send him to the heavenly prison. Do you think that by doing this, you can stop the mouths of the people in the world? Are you going to issue an imperial edict next and sentence Chu Xiaoyang to death?" Emo Chuan maintained a calm expression as he calmly said, "Your son has already said that this is a large matter of the country and Mother does not know the cause. Your son does not blame Mother, but your son does not think your son did anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong, so does this widow's wrong? You didn't do anything wrong, so this widow is wrong? Do you dare ask yourself, do you have a clear conscience?" "I've said it before, I have a clear conscience. Your son." Empress Zhou pointed at Emo Chuan and said. She was very shocked that Chu Xiaoyang was sent to prison. Emo Yang, Chuan, Chun, and Chun and Emo Xiaoyang St Chuns, Xiao Ti Chun, Chun Ti Chun, and Chun Ti said Ti, say. Xiao Chun Ti said BB T. What she didn't want to hear the rumors behind her back. She wanted to put an end to everyone's criticism. But Emo Chuan had sent Chu Xiaoyang to prison for a small crime of theft. Did he want the world to be in chaos? Chapter 1210. Emperor, tell this widow clearly today. What kind of treasure did Chu Xiaoyang steal from you? Tell me, even if Chu Xiaoyang can't compensate you, this widow will compensate you." Empress Dowager Zhou slammed her dragon head cane into the ground and shouted in a sharp voice. Emo Chuan was about to leave, but hearing this, he turned around and looked at Empress Dowager Zhou. "Mother, this kind of thing, you can't compensate me," he said in a deep voice. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a cold laugh and said, "There is nothing in this world that this widow can't compensate for. Tell me, what did Chu Xiaoyang steal? It can't be that he stole your empress heart, right?" The sarcasm in her voice could not be any thicker. Emo Chuan's face also sank. He stared right at Empress Dowager Zhou with a flame burning in his deep black eyes. "Mother, she's the girl your son cares about the most. If you can't love her and accept her, then I ask Mother not to slander her and mock her." Saying this, and doing this is the same as hurting your son's heart." He had a very serious expression as he said this word for word. Empress Dowager Zhou's heart was heavily shocked. She coldly looked at Mo Chuan, not saying a word. Mo Chuan took a breath and calmed himself down. He slowly said, "Mother, you should have heard about the Northern Qi envoys coming to the capital." Empress Dowager Zhou nodded. She also relaxed her tone and said, "This widow knows." She leaned on her cane and slowly sat down. She thought that the girl surnamed Chun was her son's reverse scale. She treated that girl like grass, but her son treated her like a treasure. Thinking about it, it was because he hadn't obtained her yet. But all the men in this world were the same. Before they obtained them, they would treat them like a golden phoenix in the sky, pampering them. But once they obtained them, they would feel bored and would quickly find someone else to love. A man who had obtained a meat was like a cat that had stolen a fish. There was no one who wasn't greedy. How could her son be an exception? This matter couldn't be rushed. Once his novelty towards that Chun girl passed, she would discuss the matter of the Zhao Rong princess with him and slowly plan it out. Her heart had already made up her mind, and her face became gentle. She no longer targeted Qin Ning and no longer mocked her. "Then, Mother, do you know what the true goal of the Northern Qi envoys coming to my West Chu is?" Mo Chuan asked. Empress Dowager Zhou shook her head and said, "This widow doesn't know. The matter of the Northern Qi envoy selling the quintuple crossbow blueprints to West Chu was a secret. Other than a few people, Mo Chuan kept it a secret. This was because the implications of this matter were too big, especially since it couldn't be known by the East Qin and the country. This quintuple crossbow was a secret weapon that Mo Chuan had carefully prepared. When it appeared on the battlefield, it would definitely shock everyone and have an immeasurable effect. Mo didn't know about this. Mo Chuan tilted his head and found that no one was eavesdropping. Then he walked beside Empress Dowager Zhou and lowered his voice. Mo of Zhou's Mo of Shakes, Chen Mo of Chun, Xiao Mo is the Xiao Chun of Ling. The Northern Qi envoy brought a very important 5 repeating crossbow blueprint to sell to West Chu, but this blueprint was stolen from the embassy. According to your son's investigation, the person who stole this blueprint was not someone else, but Chu Xiaoyang. Yangchen what? Chapter 12:11. Empress Dowager Zhou didn't care about the tea splashing on her as she grabbed Mo Chuan's wrist and anxiously said, "Emperor, this is not a small matter. You have to investigate this clearly. Don't wrongly accuse a good person. According to what this widow knows, Chu Xiaoyang, he wouldn't do this kind of thing. What benefits does stealing the blueprints bring to him?" Mo Chuan said with a cold smile, "What benefits? Only he knows. Your son locked him up in the heavenly prison, but he only admitted that he stole the blueprints, but he refused to say why he stole them. Mother, Chu Xiaoyang has already personally admitted this matter. It is definitely not your son wrongly accusing him. Mother said that you wrongly accuse a good person. Hey, he did this kind of thing. Can he still be considered a good person?" Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes popped out, and her face revealed a look of disbelief. She muttered, "But this widow feels that Xiaoyang is stubborn and thinks highly of himself. He shouldn't be able to steal like this, unless..." Her voice came to an abrupt halt as an extremely terrifying thought flashed through her mind. Her face immediately turned pale. "Impossible, impossible. The emperor has always treated him well. There is nothing you should have done to him." She stopped halfway and couldn't continue. Did the emperor really not do anything to Chu Xiaoyang? He clearly did. His own son stole Chu Xiaoyang's most beloved girl. So Chu Xiaoyang must hate him to the bone, right? Thinking about it like this, it wasn't strange for him to do something like this. But in the end, the main culprit of this matter was still that girl surnamed Chun. Empress Dowager Zhou looked down, hiding the complex emotions in her eyes. She took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. Then, she regained her calm expression. "Emperor, have you found the stolen blueprints? Have you caught him red-handed?" Mo Chuan nodded. The blueprints had been found. He did not help Chu Xiaoyang's innocence. This was just a reply to Empress Dowager Zhou's first sentence. But in Empress Dowager Zhou's ears, it meant that he was caught red-handed. Empress Dowager Zhou couldn't help giving a faint sigh and saying, "Emperor, what are you prepared to do about this matter?" With the facts in front of her, she couldn't explain it for Chu Xiaoyang. She just hoped that this matter wouldn't become bigger. "Your son will not casually convict Chu Xiaoyang. Mother could be assured of this. We have to ask why he stole the blueprints. If he really has disloyal intentions, then how to deal with him, your son will ask Mother." Hearing Mo Chuan's words, Empress Dowager Zhou could finally relax. She was most worried that Mo Chuan would stubbornly charge Chu Xiaoyang and secretly punish him behind her back. "Good, Emperor. You're safe. I haven't taught you for so many years in vain." She revealed a faint smile. The mother and son looked at each other and smiled, disappearing into a smile. Shen Yun Dowagers. Empress Dowager Zhou's heart calmed down, and she thought of another matter. "Emperor, Zhao Rong has returned to the capital after 3 years. This is a joyous matter. Duke Ning has been missing his daughter for 3 years and has been bedridden, not going to court. Now that Zhao Rong has returned to the capital, his illness has improved a bit, so this widow is prepared to hold a large palace banquet during the Dragon Boat Festival. That day is Zhao Rong's 16th birthday, so this widow wants to invite all the ministers into the palace to celebrate Zhao Rong's birthday. Emperor, what do you think?" Chapter 12:12. Empress Dowager Zhou nodded and watched as Mo Chuan left the peaceful life palace, disappearing from her sight. She couldn't help rubbing her forehead, feeling a sudden pain. She called out in a low voice, "Su Jin." Su Jin knew that Empress Dowager Zhou and her son had things to say, so she had already moved to the side. When she saw Mo Chuan leave the peaceful life palace, she rushed to Empress Dowager Zhou's room to wait. She opened the door and saw Empress Dowager Zhou's pale face. She asked in a worried voice, "Empress Dowager, are you not feeling well? This servant will call the doctor over." Empress Dowager Zhou shook her head and said, "No need to call the doctor. This widow will be fine after resting for a bit." Su Jin quickly helped Empress Dowager Zhou lie down on the bed and gently massaged her forehead. Empress Dowager Zhou closed her eyes and silently laid there, not saying a word. Su Jin also held her breath, not daring to breathe too loudly. After a long, long time, Empress Dowager Zhou opened her eyes. Her empty eyes looked at the peony embroidered on the bed, and she let out a long sigh. "Is the Empress Dowager still not asleep? If there is something bothering you, you can talk to this servant about it." Su Jin spoke in a soft voice. When her soft voice entered Empress Dowager Zhou's ears, it was like a trickle, giving her an indescribable comfort. Her mind was in a mess, but she couldn't help patting Su Jin's hand. "Stop massaging. Come and talk to this widow." Su Jin brought a chair over and sat in front of Empress Dowager Zhou's bed. She gently massaged her legs while looking up at Empress Dowager Zhou. Empress Dowager Zhou thought about it and said, "What do you think of Zhao Rong's child?" During the day, Zhao Rong had come to the palace to see Empress Dowager Zhou. Su Jin had been waiting on the side, so she had seen Zhao Rong's princess once. When she heard Empress Dowager Zhou suddenly ask this, her heart skipped a beat. She had already guessed Empress Dowager Zhou's thoughts, and her palms began to sweat. She had a stunned expression, not knowing how to reply. After a while, she finally understood Empress Dowager Zhou's meaning and replied in a small voice, "Zhao Rong's princess is already grown up. She should have been married last year and should be 16 this year. Does the Empress Dowager want to find a good family for Zhao Rong's princess?" Empress Dowager Zhou narrowed her eyes in satisfaction and said with a smile, "It's still you who understands this widow's thoughts the best. That's right, this widow wants to find a husband for Zhao Rong. Who do you think is the most suitable?" Su Jin thought to herself, "Isn't it obvious?" The Empress Dowager had taken a liking to Zhao Rong Junju and despised young Miss Shun. She wanted to make an empress. Empress, King Empress, Dowager Zhou Yichun, Su Dowager Zhou Yumo Jinshu, Tu Su, Dowager Dowager Su, Su Su Zhou. Empress Dowager Zhou asked with a smile, "What do you think of the emperor?" Su Jin never thought that Empress Dowager Zhou would ask this directly. She opened her eyes wide and revealed a shocked look. Empress Dowager Zhou said with a smile, "The Emperor and Zhao Rong are childhood friends. The two of them have a good relationship. If it wasn't for Zhao Rong disappearing for 3 years, this widow would have already made her the Empress, and the Empress position would not have fallen into the Chun family's hands. Now that Zhao Rong has returned from her studies, she is a good character, good looks, good family background, and good martial arts. She is 100 times better than that Chun family's girl. The Emperor also has an old relationship with her. So what do you think about this widow's arrangement?" Chapter 12:13. The Empress Dowager's thoughts are naturally good. I wonder if you've asked the Emperor's opinion? Su Jin thought of Empress Dowager Zhou's ugly expression when she came in and knew that Empress Dowager Zhou must have been rebuffed by Mo Chuan. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a snort. His opinion? He is captivated by her beauty, being captivated by the Chun family's girl's face. However, this matter isn't urgent. Haste makes waste. Right now, he only has that Chun girl in his heart. This widow will slowly create an opportunity for Zhaorong, letting Chuaner get closer to Zhaorong. When the time comes, this widow will take care of Zhaorong. That Chun family's girl is not worthy of being my West Chu country's empress. When she mentioned Chen Ning, it was hard for her to hide the anger in her heart. Su Jin did not dare interrupt, and just lowered her head without saying a word. Empress Dowager Zhou then said, "It will be the 5th month's Dragon Boat Festival in a few days. That day is Zhaorong's birthday, so this widow will hold a banquet to celebrate Zhaorong's birthday. As for the specifics, you have to make sure this banquet is lively and let Zhaorong have a good time. Also, you better think of a way to prevent that Chun family's girl from attending this banquet." Her voice suddenly became very low, like she was afraid of being heard. Su Jin felt wronged for Chen Ning. She softly said, "Empress Dowager, isn't this unfair to the Empress?" Empress Dowager Zhou stared at her and said, "Unfair? This widow feels that it is unfair for the Empress position to fall onto her. This widow just wants to set things right, to prevent her from taking over the nest." Su Jin did not dare say anything else. "Chen girl, I'll leave this matter to you. In short, this widow doesn't want to see that Chun family's girl's face at the banquet. If you can't do this task well, then you will be punished." Empress Dowager Zhou said with a serious expression. Su Jin knew that Empress Dowager Zhou had already made up her mind, but if she really did as Empress Dowager Zhou said, wouldn't that be going against her conscience? She was in a dilemma. After seeing Empress Dowager Zhou say this, she closed her eyes, and not long after, she began to snore. Mo Chuan, who returned to the Guan Yu Palace, naturally did not know Empress Dowager Zhou's plan. He quickly rushed back to the palace and found that it was already late. The room was filled with red candles, and a slim figure was reflected in the window. His heart filled with a warm feeling. The feeling of being waited for someone was very good. He smiled as he pushed open the door. He entered the room. "I've eaten at Mother Place. Why haven't you eaten yet?" "I've already eaten at Muha's place." "Why haven't you eaten? Have been waiting for me?" Mo Chuan's eyes fell onto the dishes on the table, and he felt very guilty. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and said, "Then you won't have the luck to taste it. These dishes are new dishes that I personally made. I wanted to wait for you to taste them together, but now I can only enjoy them alone." Chun Dowager, what she said and said and said. She said and said. Ling said, he said. Chun Dowager, you said. She said she. Chun Jin. He thought. Gee. Ling Emo said, thought. He. Thought. Said. How Dao Chun, San. Tion. Jin. Tion. I. At this moment, he saw the 4 dishes on the table, and his interest was immediately aroused. Chapter 12:14. This dish looked like scrambled eggs. The color was golden, and it was incomparably bright. Mo Chuan knew that even if it was scrambled eggs, if it was made by her hands, the taste would be different. Who would have thought that when the chopsticks entered his mouth, before he could even chew, his face would suddenly change? His lips tightly pursed, and his face had a very strange expression. Chen Ning's black and white eyes stared at him without blinking. She asked with a smile, Is it good? Mo Chuan used a lot of strength to finally swallow the egg in his mouth. He didn't even dare chew, and after swallowing it, he immediately drank a cup of water before he could speak. Ninger, this. What kind of dish is this? He looked over with wide eyes. No matter how he looked at it, it was just a plate of scrambled eggs. But was this really scrambled eggs? This is bitter melon juice scrambled eggs. It can clear away internal heat and nourish one's body. Is it bitter? Do you like the taste? Chen Ning asked with a giggle. Bitter. It was simply too bitter. It was so bitter that he couldn't even open his mouth. It's good that it's bitter, Chen Ning said with a smile. How about you try something sweet? Mo Chuan quickly nodded. He was afraid that the other 3 dishes would be strange. When he looked closely, he found that there was a plate of stir-fried spinach, a plate of cold tofu, and a plate of sugared red saint fruit. He picked up a red saint fruit without any hesitation and placed it in his mouth. After chewing it, he felt like his mouth had been stung by a scorpion, immediately becoming hot. So spicy. His fair, handsome face instantly turned bright red. Even the tips of his ears were completely red. He couldn't eat spicy food the most. Chen Ning's bowl of chili soup was so spicy that he couldn't even speak. But even like this, he was not willing to spit out the red saint fruit in his mouth because she had personally made it. He stretched his neck and swallowed the red saint fruit with great difficulty. His tears came out from the spiciness. Chen Ning helped him wipe his tears while saying with a smile, I never said this dish was sweet. This is red saint fruit mixed with chow tian peppers. It's the most spicy. You can't eat spicy food, so why do you have to eat spicy food instead of sweet food? Mo Chuan had already seen that this girl was playing tricks on him. He deeply looked at her, and when he opened his mouth to speak, his voice had already become hoarse. Ninger, did you personally make these 4 dishes? Of course. Chen Ning's smile disappeared, and she nodded with a serious expression. As long as it's made by you, I have to eat it. Mo Chuan did not care about the sweat on his forehead from the spiciness as he reached out with his chopsticks to grab the spinach. When the dish entered his mouth, his brows moved. No one would have thought that this was vinaigrette spinach. It was sour, but Mo Chuan's expression did not change as he slowly chewed it and swallowed it. His expression did not change as he picked up the last dish, the cold tofu. Mo tofu was mixed with sugar. This tofu was actually made with sugar. It was like. He now completely understood the true meaning behind her personally making these 4 dishes for him. His heart was filled with tenderness. Do you like the taste of these 4 dishes? Chen Ning winked at him. I like it, I really like it. Mo Chuan replied without any hesitation. Then, do you like it? She rolled her eyes. Chapter 12:15. Mo Chuan reached out and tightly gripped her hand. Ups and downs, life is full of flavors. You can be assured, I will tightly hold your hand for the rest of my life and taste life's ups and downs with you. Chen Ning couldn't help giving a satisfied sigh. She buried her head in Mo Chuan's chest, and her lips curled into a sweet smile. He actually understood her feelings. It was not a waste for her to painstakingly make these 4 dishes. Speaking of using dishes as a metaphor for life, it was an inspiration she had read in a book. She suddenly had an idea and tried it out. She wanted to play a joke on Mo Chuan, but she never thought that Mo Chuan would be this smart. Not only did he guess her question, he even gave it a perfect score. With a husband like this, what more could a woman ask for? The 2 of them hugged each other and listened to each other's heartbeats. Their hearts were filled with warmth. After a while, Chen Ning finally left Mo Chuan's embrace. She pursed her lips and looked at Mo Chuan with a smile. Is my cooking better, or is the food in the Empress Dowager's palace better? Mo Chuan slowly said, Do you want to hear the truth? Of course. Naturally, the food in Mother's palace is better. Mo Chuan honestly said. Then he said, But I like eating the food you personally made. He reached out to hug her and kissed her on the cheek. Chen Ning's face turned red, and she angrily said, Smooth talking. The smile on her face disappeared in a flash, and she said with a serious expression, All right, you're telling the truth. Mo Chuan, I'll only ask once. Do you really think that Chu Xiaoyang is the mastermind behind stealing the blueprints? Chuan had been waiting for this question from her. He thought about it and gently shook his head. Then do you know where I disguised myself as a eunuch and went? Chuan shook his head again. I went to Minister Li Zhixing's palace. You said that I have the ability to see through people's hearts. That's right. I can tell if a person is telling the truth or not from small details. So what I want to tell you is that the real mastermind is not Chu Xiaoyang, but rather Li. She did not finish because Chuan reached out a finger and placed it on her lips, stopping her from continuing. Shoo, nearer. You don't need to say it. I already know. He gently looked into her eyes. His dark eyes were as deep as a cold lake. You know, if you knew it wasn't Chu Xiaoyang, why did you send him to prison? Why are you doing this? Chen Ning's eyes opened wide as she looked at him in disbelief. I naturally have my reasons for doing this. What's the reason? She asked. Ning, don't ask anymore. There are some things you're better off not knowing. Chuan stroked her face and said in a soft voice, what I can tell you is that I'm not doing this to vent my anger, and it's not because of you. Believe me, Chuan am not a person who can't distinguish between public and private matters. Although his voice was soft, his eyes were firm and focused. Chen Ning suddenly felt that she really couldn't see through him, but she believed every word he said. All right, I won't ask anymore. Chuan, I believe you. Chuan reached out to pick her up and walked out of the room. Where are you carrying me? Don't you trust me? I'm going to sell you, he answered, laughing. Because her trust him made his heart burst with joy. He couldn't help revealing a smile from the corner of his eyes. Are you willing? She giggled. Chapter 12:16. Chuan carried her to the hot spring room on the side. There was a wide hot spring pool inside that was steaming hot and filled with white steam. He remembered that she liked to soak in hot springs, so he specially ordered people to build this hot spring for her in the Guanyu Palace. Take a good bath. I'll wait for you outside. Chuan gently placed her on the edge of the pool and then turned to leave the screen. Chen Ning was a bit surprised. She never thought that after being husband and wife for so long, he would still be this polite. It seemed like finding an ancient person as a husband wasn't bad. She revealed a gentle smile and began to take off her clothes to enter the pool. Who would have thought that when she took off her clothes, her waist would suddenly tighten and she would be hugged from behind. That familiar and clear aura could be felt, as well as that warm and firm embrace. She couldn't help looking back at him with a look of annoyance. I even praise you for being honest, but I never thought that you wouldn't keep your words and actually peeked at me. Chuan's lips fell on her snow-white earlobes. He hugged her soft and slender waist, feeling the sweet scent of a young girl, and couldn't help being distracted. Ninger, go find the divine doctor tomorrow, he said in a soft voice. What for? Her neck shrank back from the itch. Have him quickly cure the poison in your body. I can't wait any longer. His muffled voice came out of his mouth. He could see, touch, and hug her, but he couldn't eat her. He really had enough of this kind of torture. In the end, it was all because old man Zhang's medical skills weren't good enough. He couldn't even cure the poison in her body and wanted him to wait for a month. Wasn't this just torturing him to death? Chen Ning's lips couldn't help twitching. So this was what he was thinking. Men, did they really use their lower bodies to think? Even Chuan was not an exception. But thinking about it, this couldn't be blamed on Chuan. He had lived for more than 20 years without getting close to women. Finally, the day of his wedding night, which he had been looking forward to, had come, but such an accident had occurred. It was already not easy for him to endure it until now. All right, I'll find Master to take my pulse tomorrow, she replied in a soft voice. Chuan's arms tightened around her, and he took a deep breath before reluctantly letting her go. He untied her hair and said with a faint smile, All right, you can wash in peace. I won't disturb you again. After saying this, he turned around and walked out, not even looking back. Chen Ning looked at his back and felt like he was running away. She couldn't help pursing her lips into a smile. When he was hugging her just now, she clearly felt the change in him and the heat of his body. He originally wanted to come in and tease her, but he didn't expect that the one who was aroused was himself. Seeing him leave in a hurry, she was certain that he was going to take a cold shower. Sure enough, when she returned to her room after taking a bath in the hot spring, Imo-chuan appeared in front of her with a cold aura. His long black hair was dripping with water. Chun-Ning smiled as she took a towel and wiped it for him. The fire in Imo-chuan's body had been extinguished, and his heart was filled with tenderness. He held her hand and called out in a low voice, "Ning, I'm here. What's the matter?" She replied in a soft voice, "Nothing. I just wanted to call you." He said in a low voice, "You really are silly." Imo-chuan couldn't help smiling. She was the first person to call him silly. If anyone else dared to say this, their head would fall to the ground. Chapter 12:17. Imo-chuan gently pulled her hand, and she fell into his embrace. He held her waist with one hand and stroked her soft cheeks with the other. He deeply looked at her, and his deep, dark eyes seemed like they could see into her heart. "Ning, promise me. No matter what happens, you won't leave me." He tightly hugged her. There was a problem with these words. The intelligent Chun-Ning immediately noticed something. She blinked and came to a sudden realization. "Imo-chuan, what did the Empress Dowager say to you?" she asked. Imo-chuan thought about it and told her about Empress Dowager Zhou's decision to hold a palace banquet to celebrate Zhao Rong's princess birthday on the Dragon Boat Festival, because this matter couldn't be hidden. As the Empress, Chun-Ning would definitely be there that day. But the main character of the banquet was not her, but rather Zhao Rong's princess. When Empress Dowager Zhou mentioned the palace banquet, he was in a rush to return to the palace, so he casually agreed and did not take it to heart. Now that he mentioned it to Chun-Ning, he realized that Empress Dowager Zhou had set a trap for him. Since it's a birthday celebration, why isn't the banquet being held in the Duke Ning Palace? Why does it have to be held in the palace? By doing this, Imperial Mother is clearly trying to make you lose face in front of all the civil and military officials. I'll report to Mother tomorrow that I don't agree to this. Wait a minute, Imo-chuan. After Chun-Ning heard this, she quickly guessed Empress Dowager Zhou's intentions. She couldn't help admiring Empress Dowager Zhou's painstaking efforts. But it was just holding a birthday banquet for a little girl to raise the status of Zhao Rong's princess in front of all the officials. Could it be that Empress Dowager Zhou thought she would back down by doing this? She was looking down on Chun-Ning too much. How could her tolerance only be this small? She couldn't even hold a little girl's birthday banquet? Imo-chuan, tell me first, where did this Zhao Rong princess come from? How come I never knew you had a cousin like this? Her black and white eyes looked at Imo-chuan. She could clearly see Imo-chuan's figure in those black and bright eyes. Imo-chuan calmly looked at her and told her about the Zhao Rong princess background. She is Country Duke Ning's beloved daughter. Country Duke Ning and your father Country Protecting General Chun are both pillars of our West Chu country. Her mother is Mother's cousin, so she is also my cousin. In my eyes, she is just a little sister. I haven't seen her for 3 years, and I never thought that she would become this unruly. Thinking of how she almost hurt you today, I want to give her a good spanking on her butt. He thought of the situation in the Tai-he floor and was filled with hate. That's right. Chun-Ning smiled and said, Chun-Ning, Ning-chun, if you want to spank her, I'll be the first to object. Chun-Ning. Chun-Ning, Chun-Ning. Chun said, Ning-ling, if we don't discipline her, I'm afraid she'll go from bad to worse. Chun-Ning shook her head with a smile and said, of course she needs to be taught a lesson, but your method is wrong. She is already a 15-16-year-old girl. She is no longer that little slug that follows you around all day with a runny nose. You hit her, but what if she comes after you? So I won't allow it. So it's like this, you little girl. You can't just say it. You have to beat around the bush to tease me. See how I'll deal with you. Chapter 12:18. Chun-Ning smiled as she bent over, trying to hide in his embrace, but she couldn't break free. Her face was pink like a flower blooming, looking very beautiful. Imo-chuan unknowingly stopped. He lowered his head and deeply kissed her on the lips. Her face was still red as she wrapped her arms around his neck. She couldn't breathe from his passionate kiss. I'll let you go today, but if you dare do this again, I won't let you off. Mo Chuan raised his head and his eyes lit up. He could already feel the fire in his body stirring again. He really wanted to eat her up in one bite. Chinning blinked and suddenly understood why he was so passionate tonight. He even wanted her to find Gu Qingze to cure the poison. He was worried that Empress Dowager Zhou would do something, so he wanted to cook the rice. He really was a fool. The two of them were filled with tenderness and sweetness. They only had each other in their eyes, and there was no one else. They didn't know that at this moment, there was someone who couldn't eat and couldn't sleep. Duke Ning's palace. In a small building in the back garden, there was the sound of porcelain shattering. It was followed by a young girl's angry shout. "Bastard, idiot, idiot!" In the room, there was a row of maids kneeling on the ground. They all had looks of fear as they lowered their heads, not daring to look up. Zhao Rong Princess grabbed a beautiful vase beside her and viciously smashed it on the ground, shattering the porcelain. "You're all idiots and idiots. I asked you to help this princess catch lice, but you can't even do such a small thing. Why is this princess' head still itchy?" Her hair was loose, and her eyes were filled with flames as she angrily scolded the maids. Since returning to the palace, she had immediately changed her clothes. She had bathed several times, and her delicate skin had turned red, but she could still smell the sour smell of a beggar on her body. Especially her scalp that kept itching, and there were red bumps all over her body, making her feel very itchy. The maids found several lice and fleas from the clothes she had taken off, but there were still a lot of lice that crawled into her hair. But when these lice and fleas entered her hair, especially with how thick her hair was, it was like finding a needle in a haystack. "Damn, it's itchy again." Zhao Rong Princess felt like there were little insects crawling in her hair, like they were biting her scalp. She suddenly shivered, and her fingers reached into her hair to scratch, but the more she scratched, the more itchy it became. "Princess, this servant has heard that if there are lice in your hair, the best way is to burn them with a pair of tongs. Lice are afraid of heat, and they will die if you burn them." One of the maids bravely said in a trembling voice. "Then why didn't you say this earlier? Idiot, hurry up and get the fire tongs." Zhao Rong Junju was angry and anxious. She grabbed the servant girl and threw her out the door. The servant girl was so scared that she scrambled away. Soon, the servant girl took a pair of scalding tongs from the kitchen and walked in, trembling with fear. "Your Highness, I just heard that fire tongs can burn lice to death, but I don't know how to use it. Princess, this servant has heard that the tongs can burn lice to death, but this servant doesn't know how to use them," one of the maids said in fear. "This servant has seen my mother use them, but this servant has never used them before." Chapter 12:19. The servant girl could only gather her courage and use the fire tongs to pull down Zhao Rong Junju's hair. After a short while, everyone's noses smelled a burning smell, like something had been burnt. Zhao Rong Junju furrowed her brows and said unhappily, "Where is this stench coming from?" Suddenly, a servant girl pointed at Zhao Rong Junju's hair and cried out in alarm. "Not good, not good. Her Highness' hair is on fire." Hearing this, Zhao Rong Junju and the servant girl with the fire tongs jumped in fright. It turned out that the fire tongs had been too hot and had burned the ends of Zhao Rong Junju's hair. The servant girls saw the fire burning from the ends of her hair and cried out in unison. Zhao Rong Junju felt a burning sensation on her neck. She was furious and raised her hand to strike the servant girl with the fire tongs. She used all her strength in this strike. With a crack, the servant girl's ribs broke and her body flew backwards. She spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. She didn't move, and it was unknown whether she was dead or alive. The servant girls didn't have time to see if the servant girl was dead or alive. They were all trying to help Zhao Rong Junju put out the fire. Some people used fans to fan her, while others used clothes to cover her. Zhao Rong Junju was in a sorry state, but the fire grew larger and larger. It continued to spread upwards and the burning smell became stronger and stronger. Finally, a servant girl was clever and rushed out with a basin of water. She threw the water at Zhao Rong Junju's head. The fire was finally extinguished, but the long hair that Zhao Rong Junju was so proud of had been burned into a mess. It used to look like a glossy black satin, but now this satin had become a piece of torn cloth. The air was filled with the stench of something burning. Zhao Rong Junju's hair was wet and dripping water. Her body was covered in burnt hair. Her eyes were wide open as she stared at the polished bronze mirror. She couldn't believe that the person in the mirror that looked like a bald pheasant was herself. She gave a shrill and angry scream. She grabbed the mirror and smashed it on the ground. This ugly freak isn't me. It's not me. How can I have the face to see Cousin Emperor after becoming like this? He will definitely despise my face and my hair. I don't have the face to see Cousin anymore. Zhao Rong Junju broke down and screamed. She grabbed things in the room and started to beat people. The servant girls were all kneeling in fear and let her beat them. No one dared to dodge. Junju, who made you unhappy? Just as Zhao Rong Junju was about to go crazy with anger, a low and pleasant male voice suddenly rang out from the door of the room. As soon as she heard this voice, Zhao Rong Junju, who had been smashing things with all her might, froze as if her pressure points had been sealed. She was holding a vase in her hand. She slowly turned around and looked at the door. All of the servant girls also furtively followed Zhao Rong Region Lord's gaze. This man's voice was too pleasant to listen to and too moving to listen to. A fiery red figure entered everyone's sight. A fiery red figure appeared in front of them. The long robe on his body danced in the wind. It was like a burning flame. He had a charming smile on his face. His facial features were very handsome. He was like a legendary blood-soaked elf, but his eyes were ice cold. When the servant girls met his eyes, their hearts jumped. Their bodies trembled, and they couldn't help but lower their heads, not daring to look at his eyes. Chapter 1220. When Zhao Rong Region Princess saw the red-clothed man, she couldn't help but show a glimmer of joy. She threw the vase in her hand to the ground and walked over to the man, ignoring her disheveled appearance. You finally came. Did you finish what you promised me? You're here for the other half of the reward, aren't you? Her eyes shone with excitement. The red-clothed man shook his head and slowly said, No, you still haven't finished. Zhao Rong Region Princess revealed a disappointed expression. She wanted to get angry, but for some reason, she cowered under the gaze of the red-clothed man. She swallowed back the curses that were on the tip of her tongue. If you haven't finished, why are you here? She grumbled, suppressing her anger. The red-clothed man let out a light laugh. His voice was moving, and his laugh was even more moving. Half of the maids blushed because of his laughter. Their hearts beat wildly, and their faces were slightly hot. I happened to pass by and heard your voice. I wanted to come in and see you. TSK. Princess, how did your hair become like this? The red-clothed man spoke to Zhao Rong Region Princess without any hint of respect. His words were very bold and made it seem like he was very intimate with Zhao Rong Region Princess. When the servant girls heard this, they couldn't help but think, could this man be the princess lover? The red-clothed man's gaze swept across the faces of the servant girls. His smile deepened. He was magnificent and beautiful. The servant girls couldn't help but stare at him. Zhao Rong Region Princess suppressed the anger in her chest and huffed. You came at the right time. I have a new business for you. The smile on the red-clothed man's face disappeared. His entire body emitted a murderous aura. The servant girls were forced by his aura and couldn't help but tremble. However, the murderous aura on the red-clothed man disappeared as quickly as it appeared. Then, he smiled as if nothing had happened. His gaze drifted across the faces of the servant girls. You told my secret in front of these servant girls. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Zhao Rong Region Princess said unconcernedly. A group of servant girls that are dumber than pigs. Do whatever you want. The red-clothed man laughed. If that's the case, then I won't be polite. The two of them exchanged questions and answers. The servant girls were stunned. They didn't think that they had unknowingly encountered a disaster. Before the red-clothed man's smile faded, his sleeve suddenly flew out. A faint red mist spread through the air and enveloped the servant girls like a beautiful cloud. So fragrant, so beautiful. The maids had intoxicated expressions on their faces. One by one, they stood up involuntarily and began to dance. They laughed and danced around the man in red. Suddenly, they fell to the ground like wooden stakes, and the air began to emit white mist. When the white mist dissipated, there were only a few pieces of clothing, shoes, socks, hairpins, and other items left on the ground. There was also a pool of thick blood. The maids had all disappeared. Zhao Rong of the princess couldn't help but rub her eyes at this strange scene. Zhao of, why are they all gone? She couldn't help but cry out. The man in red slowly walked into the room, and the two doors closed on their own behind him. Chapter 12:21. The red-clothed man opened his mouth and a low and beautiful voice rang out. They disappeared. Naturally, they disappeared from this world. Only the dead will not reveal my secret. In this world, everyone who sees my true face will end up like this. His voice was clearly moving, but Zhao Rong Junju felt a chill crawl up her back. She had always been fearless, but when she saw the pool of blood on the ground, she actually shivered. What do you mean? Seeing the red-clothed man slowly walk closer, Zhao Rong princess couldn't help but step back. Even she didn't realize that her tongue was shaking and her voice was shaking. The red-clothed man's smile became even brighter. Princess, are you afraid of me? What a joke. I am not afraid of anything. Why would I be afraid of you? Princess Zhao Rong immediately raised her chin and replied with an arrogant expression. However, her slightly trembling legs betrayed her. The red-clothed man's gaze landed on her trembling skirt. His slender and white fingers lightly brushed across his face, and he once again revealed a smile that could turn all living things upside down. Your Highness, do you think that the face you see is my true face? Could it be that you've forgotten this young master's elegant title? He winked. Young master thousand faces. Zhao Rong princess murmured. She shook her shoulders and felt that her courage had returned. Yes, what was she afraid of? She didn't see his true face. He wouldn't take her life. What's more, your Highness is my sugar daddy. Have you forgotten the rules of our Purple Heaven Pavilion? We have never acted against our customers, so your Highness can be at ease. Even if you see this young master's true appearance, this young master will definitely not lay a finger on you. The red-clothed man said with a smile. Zhao Rong princess let out a breath and forced a smile. Young Master Thousand Faces is very skilled. I don't know what martial art you used just now. In the blink of an eye, you took the lives of those stupid pigs. Not even their corpses were left, and they turned into a pool of blood. Her gaze landed on the clothes and jewelry that were soaked in the blood, and she couldn't help but shiver. This faint red mist was truly powerful and mercilessly hurt people. If it had landed on her body, she probably would have become a pool of blood as well. She felt a lingering fear in her heart, and when she looked at the red-robed man, her gaze became even more respectful. She deeply regretted that her attitude towards him was not respectful enough. You mean that? It's just something fun. It's called beauty fog. It's not a powerful martial art. You haven't seen my power yet. The red-clothed man smiled innocently, but Zhao Rong princess looked at him as if she was looking at a demon from hell. Her eyes were filled with deep fear. Such a powerful hidden weapon, and he said it wasn't powerful. Then how terrifying would the truly powerful thing be? However, the stronger he was, the more advantageous it would be for her, right? Zhao Rong Junju reacted and opened her mouth, revealing a sweet and moving smile. Young Master Thousand Faces is so powerful. I really didn't find the wrong person. I believe that you will definitely be able to successfully complete my task. I will wait for the good news in the manor, she said with a smile. She subtly asked him to leave, thinking that it would be better to get rid of this god of plague in front of her as soon as possible. Chapter 12:22. The people in the Purple Cloud Pavilion were truly evil. They were exactly the same as the rumors said. Just by looking at the way they dealt with the servant girls, it was enough to make people tremble. Zhao Rong Princess was already beginning to regret. After completing this transaction, she never wanted to see anyone from the Purple Cloud Pavilion ever again. Oh, the red-clothed young master raised his eyebrows. Does the princess want to kick me out? His words exposed Zhao Rong Juanju's thoughts, causing her to feel both embarrassed and afraid. Of course not. It's just that it's getting late and I want to rest. It's not convenient for a woman to be alone, so... She stammered and stammered. Her expression was even more flustered. She was completely different from her usual arrogant self. Huh. The princess is truly interesting. What you think in your heart, you won't admit it. However, I won't argue with you. You just said that you have a new business deal? I am very interested. Princess, why don't you tell me about it? The red-clothed young master chuckled. Not only did he not leave, he sat down on the chair with a relaxed expression. Hearing this, Zhao Rong Princess couldn't help but curse herself for being too cowardly. She was so scared that she even forgot about her revenge. She put away her smile and sat down across from the red-clothed young master. Word by word, she said, I want to kill someone. Who? The red-clothed young master asked without any surprise. She is a woman. Also, she should be with the emperor. Zhao Rong Princess thought of Chun Ning. Her hands clenched into fists, and her eyes revealed a deep hatred. Another woman of the emperor? The red-clothed young master raised his eyebrows. That's right. Zhao Rong Princess slammed the table in anger. She told the story of how she and Chun Ning became enemies, how she was tricked into boarding the carriage, and how she was humiliated at the floor of Taihe today. After she finished, she said, I don't know who she is, but I want her life. I believe that with the thousand-faced young master's ability, finding her whereabouts is as easy as flipping his hand. How about it? Do you accept this business deal? Purple Cloud Pavilion has never rejected a business that comes to us. Of course I will accept it. As for the reward, I won't accept silver this time. The red-clothed young master smiled. You won't accept silver? Then what do you want? As long as you say it, as long as it exists in this world, there is nothing I can't give you. Zhao Rong Princess said heroically. This gentleman wants. The red-clothed gentleman dragged out his words. His demonic phoenix eyes looked over Zhao Rong Juanju's face and body with ill intentions. Zhao Rong Princess couldn't help but blush. She avoided his gaze and shook her head. No, I already have someone in my heart. I will never devote myself to you. With a chi sound, the red-clothed man laughed. His gaze toward Zhao Rong Princess carried a hint of disdain. Do you think this young master has taken a fancy to you? Your Highness, aren't you thinking too highly of yourself? Zhao Rong Juanju's face turned red again, and her anger rose again. She wanted to glare at him, but she didn't dare and could only suppress her anger. Then may I ask what reward young Master Thousand Faces wants? The red-clothed young master's long phoenix eyes moved over Zhao Rong Juanju's face. He slowly said, I want a promise from your father, Duke Ning. Chapter 12:23. If it's like this, then this business deal is off the table. The red-robed young master was not annoyed. He stood up as if nothing had happened and walked out of the door in a graceful manner. Zhao Rong Princess bit her lips and stared at his back. Her mind was thinking about the humiliation she had suffered at Chun Ning's hands. She suddenly shouted, Wait a minute. What? Has the princess changed your mind? The man in red turned around and flashed her a magnificent smile. That perfect and moving smile made Zhao Rong Princess daze for a moment. Her face couldn't help turning red again. She thought to herself, the face in front of me is just a mask of the thousand-faced young master, but is not inferior to Cousin the Emperor. It has to be said that Cousin the Emperor was the most handsome man she had ever seen. Who knew if the thousand-faced young master's true face was better looking than Cousin the Emperor, or was it frighteningly ugly? She composed herself and replied, All right, This princess will agree to your conditions. As long as you bring back that bitch's head, I will think of a way to convince my father to give you a promise." The red-clothed young master smiled and said, "The princess has agreed quite quickly. I hope that the princess will not forget the rules of my purple cloud pavilion. If you can't pay the promised reward, does the princess know the consequences?" Zhao Rong princess' heart turned cold. Her voice trembled as she said, "What consequences?" "The consequences are—" The red-clothed young master's eyes swept over the pool of blood on the ground. He smiled from ear to ear and said, "You will die 1,000 times, 10,000 times worse than these stupid pigs. Your Highness, you have to think carefully. Don't blame me for not reminding you when the time comes." The Zhao Rong county host shuddered, but she raised her chin and revealed a fierce look in her eyes. "This princess' words carry weight. I will definitely give you the reward I promised. If I can't do it, you can do whatever you want of me." She forcefully gritted her teeth as she spoke. "The princess is truly a straightforward person. It makes me feel very happy to deal with someone like you." "All right, then it's settled." The red-clothed young master gave a long laugh and turned around to leave. Suddenly, he turned around and threw something into Zhao Rong princess' arms. "What is this?" Zhao Rong princess' face instantly turned white like she was scalded by something. Her first reaction was to throw the item on the ground. She had personally witnessed the power of the beauty mist and knew that the red-clothed young master was surrounded by that kind of poison. She didn't even dare to touch a corner of his clothes, much less his item. But she didn't dare. She could only tremble as she looked at the paper bag in her hand. "Princess, have you seen a cat catch a mouse before?" The red-clothed young master did not answer the question. Zhao Rong Junju had a puzzled expression and asked, "Of course I have." "Then your Highness should know that after a cat catches a mouse, it won't eat it immediately. Instead, it will torture the mouse until it's scared out of its wits. Only when it's half dead will it eat it. If her Highness really hated someone so much that she wanted to kill her, wouldn't it be too easy for her to kill her with a single stab? If it was me, I would have tortured her before she died and made her live a life worse than death." The corners of the red-robed young master's lips curled up, revealing an abnormally evil smile once again. Chapter 12:24. This is a little thing this young master is giving you. It's free of silver. If the princess uses it well, it will give you a large surprise. After saying this, his red robe fluttered and his figure flashed, disappearing from Zhao Rong princess' eyes without a trace. Zhao Rong princess wanted to ask, "What is this?" But before she could say anything, the red-clothed young master's figure had already disappeared. She looked in the direction he left in a daze. After a while, she slowly turned her eyes. If it wasn't for the blood on the ground, not drying yet, she would have thought that everything that had just happened was a dream. Zhao Rong princess stared at the paper bag in her hand for a while before finally carefully opening it. Layer after layer, the outermost layer of paper was filled with small words. She picked it up to take a look, and her eyes instantly flashed with wild joy. The innermost part of the paper bag was a dark green powder. She carefully rewrapped the powder and hid it away like it was a treasure. Asterisk at this time, Chenning did not know what Zhao Rong princess was doing behind her back. She did not know that Zhao Rong princess' hatred towards her had reached a point where she wanted her dead. Zhao Rong region princess hated her to the bone, but she had long forgotten about Zhao Rong region princess, because there were more important things for her to pay attention to. Early in the morning, Chenning received news from Dr. Zhang's palace from Zhuai Feng. Gu Qingze wanted to see her for an important matter. Her first reaction was, could it be that something had happened to Xiao Bai's condition? This thought filled her with worry. Did something happen to Xiao Bai? She immediately asked. Zhuai Feng was stunned for a bit before shaking his head and saying, "His Highness King Jing and has been sleeping the entire time and did not wake up even when this subordinate left." Hearing that Chu Xiao Bai was fine, Chen Ning let out a sigh of relief, and her heart that was in her throat fell down. "Then what urgent matter does my master have with me?" Zhuai Feng shook his head again. "This subordinate does not know, but He hesitantly looked at Chun Ning, wanted to say something, but hesitating. But what quickly say it? Chun Ning urged him as she glared at Zhue Feng. This Zhue Feng, that was like a block of wood, could not tell what was important. Zhue Feng stuttered as he said, "His Highness King Jing and is fine, but this subordinate feels that something is wrong with the ancient divine doctor." "What's wrong with my master?" Chun Ning knit her brows. "The Empress will know when she sees the ancient divine doctor. This subordinate is stupid and does not know how to express himself." Zhue Feng scratched his head and revealed an apologetic expression. Chun Ning's relaxed heart once again jumped up. For Zhue Feng to feel strange, there was something wrong. She did not ask a single word. After quickly washing up, she immediately went with Zhue Feng to Dr. Zhang's palace. Mo Chuan had gone to court early in the morning, so he was not in the palace. Chun Ning did not have Zhue Feng report to Mo Chuan. Before the situation was clear, she did not want to disturb Mo Chuan, otherwise he would be startled. After arriving at Dr. Zhang's palace, Chun King Jing appeared. In the courtyard, the first person she saw was Gu Qingze. However, the Gu Qingze in front of her gave her a huge fright. If he hadn't been sitting in that iconic chair, she would have suspected that she had recognized the wrong person. She stopped and stared at the guy in front of her. He had sunken eyes, a messy beard, messy hair, and bloodshot eyes. His clothes were wrinkled as if he had just been fished out of a pickle jar. Chapter 12:25. "Master, is that you?" Chun Ning looked at him in a daze for a while before calling out in a probing voice. Gu Qingze was staring at the pile of papers in his hand, but when he heard Chun Ning's voice, he suddenly looked up. His eyes lit up as he looked at Chun Ning, revealing an excited expression like a child's. "Little girl Chun, you're finally here. Quickly come and take a look." He raised the paper-like thing in his hand and waved at Chun Ning. Chun Ning's heart was filled with doubt. It had only been a night, but Gu Qingze seemed like a completely different person. No wonder Zhue Feng said it was hard to describe. She walked beside Gu Qingze, but before she could say anything, Gu Qingze suddenly rolled his eyes and coldly said, "I want to talk to my disciple. All unrelated people can leave." Hearing this, the servants who were in charge of cleaning the courtyard and the imperial physicians who wanted to ask him to be their teacher all shrank their necks and left without a trace. They all knew that Gu Qingze had a strange temper. When Chun Ning wasn't here, he always had a blank face, not talking to anyone, and no one dared to talk to him. Also, everyone had seen him order Dr. Zhang, who was old enough to be his grandfather, around like he was ordering his grandson. Everyone felt it was unfair for Dr. Zhang, but Dr. Zhang had a happy look on his face. It was like being able to run errands for Gu Qingze was an honor for him. When everyone in the courtyard left, Gu Qingze rolled his eyes and stared at Zhue Feng. "Everyone else has left. Why haven't you left?" Zhue Feng couldn't help being stunned. He looked at Chun Ning and said in a deep voice, "This subordinate is under the Emperor's orders to protect the Empress. Without the Emperor's orders, this subordinate cannot leave his post." When he escorted Chun Ning from the royal palace to Dr. Zhang's palace, he always felt like there was someone watching them. But when he focused his mind to search, that strange feeling disappeared. What kind of person was Zhue Feng? He was an elite of the hidden guards, an elite of elites. He had followed Mo Chuan for many years and had experienced countless assassinations, so the danger was incalculable. This sense of danger from experiencing life and death danger was already embedded in his bones. As long as there was a bit of danger around him, he couldn't help the hairs on his back standing up. There was no exception. And this time, his sense of danger was stronger than any other time. There was someone that wanted to harm the Empress. Alarm bells rang in his heart. So on the road, he had been on guard, not daring to let his guard down at all. Even when he arrived at Dr. Zhang's palace, that sense of danger still did not disappear. Now that he heard Gu Qingze ask him to leave, he hesitated for a bit. He would rather anger Gu Qingze than leave Chun Ning's side. Bullsh asterisk T. Bullsh asterisk T. Gu Qingze was filled with rage, and he began cursing. "She's my disciple. As long as I am here, no one can hurt her. Do you think that I, Gu Qingze, practice my engineering techniques for nothing? Do you think that I, Gu Qingze, am inferior to you? Feng Ning, Ning Ning Feng, Ning 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 Ning. Zhue Feng pretended like he did not hear it and stood there like a bamboo stick, not moving at all. Chen Ning knew that Gu Qingze wanted to tell her something very important. Since he didn't want Zhue Feng to know, he must have his own reasons. Chapter 1226. Zhue Feng bowed to her and said, Empress, it's not that this subordinate is disobeying orders, but this subordinate feels. He wanted to report the strange feeling he had on the way here to Chen Ning, but the hairs on his back suddenly stood up. He instinctively felt danger, and the spearhead of this danger was not Chen Ning, but rather himself. In his shock, he didn't have time to dodge and immediately rolled on the ground. He only felt an abnormally cold thing fly past the tip of his nose. It was only an inch away from the tip of his nose. It was a close shave. It was a soundless black rope, without the slightest fluctuation or warning. If his reaction was even a little slower, his face would definitely be heavily whipped. Before he could get up from the ground, there were two more black chains coming at him from the front and back. One was straight like a judge's pen, aiming at the acupuncture point on his chest, and the other was soft, as if it was nothing as it wrapped around his waist. This time, he was in a very difficult situation. In this critical situation, he had an idea. With one palm, he shook off the black rope in front of his chest, and with the other hand, he pulled out the black rope that was wrapped around his waist. He let out a breath, and his body rose high into the air. His body was in the air, finally dodging the black chain's attacks. He looked down with wide eyes, wanting to see which expert had come to trouble him. Who would have thought that other than Chen Ning and Gu Qingze, there was no one else in the yard? The three black chains that had attacked him had also disappeared without a trace. Were they? Zhue Feng was shocked, almost not daring to believe his eyes. Even if it was a top expert, they could not escape his sight in an instant. He fell down from the air and couldn't help scratching the back of his head as he looked at Chen Ning. Empress, where did the enemy go? Enemy? What enemy? Chen Ning blinked. Of course she knew that the black chains attacking Zhue Feng were from Gu Qingze activating the mechanism in the chair, but it was too fast, and she could not clearly see what had happened. There were clearly three black chains attacking this subordinate. How could they suddenly disappear? Zhue Feng looked around and found nothing, so he returned to Chen Ning's side. Empress, are you all right? Chen Ning shook her head and said, I'm fine. Zhue Feng's heart became even more vigilant as he said, Empress, there's an enemy nearby. This subordinate will send you back to the palace. There are many experts in the palace. They will definitely be able to protect you. Gu Qingze sneered. You finally admit that you're useless? Zhue Feng was very respectful to him, not daring to offend him. He respectfully replied, There's always someone better out there. There are many experts better than me in this world, so Zhue Feng has never dared to be arrogant. Gu Qingze coldly looked at him. Humph, at least you still have a bit of self-awareness. I was just testing you a moment ago, and you almost couldn't even dodge my hidden weapons. What right do you have to shamelessly boast that you can protect the Shun girl? What? Wind-chasing Wolf's eyes widened all of a sudden. He looked at Gu Qingze in disbelief. Dr. Gu, did you say that the black chain was activated by you? Is there an enemy? Not bad. Gu Qingze proudly raised his chin. Wind-chasing Wolf was speechless. His face was burning, and he lowered his head in shame. Chapter 1227. In terms of age, the two of them weren't that different, but compared to him, why was the difference this big? Zhue Feng admires the godly Dr. Gu's mechanical skills, but I didn't mean to eavesdrop on your discussion with the Empress. It's just that I felt danger on the way here, like there was someone hiding in the dark, wanting to harm the Empress. Godly Dr. Gu, I am a secret guard, so protecting the Empress is my responsibility. Please believe me, I'm not making groundless accusations. Every time I encounter danger, I will have a premonition. In these 10 years, I have never made a single mistake. Zhue Feng calmed himself down and said with a sincere expression. Gu Qingzi scoffed at his words, but when he heard Jue Feng mention his identity as a secret guard, his heart couldn't help moving. He knew that there were experts like Jue Feng in the Jianghu, so he would always have a sense of danger. Just like his sneak attack just now, there was no warning at all, but Jue Feng was still able to dodge it. Could there really be someone who wanted to harm the Chen girl? What you say makes sense. Jue Feng, you can stay on the side, but you can't say a single word about what I said to the Chen girl. Gu Qingzi coldly said. Yes, many thanks to the godly Dr. Gu. Jue Feng was filled with joy. He thought, how could he have the courage to tell the godly Dr. Gu's words to others, especially after seeing his ability to appear and disappear like a ghost? Gu Qingzi thought about it, but he was still a bit worried. His fingers gently moved the armrest of the chair. The shape of his chair was also very special. The armrests on both sides were wide and wide, looking like two storage boxes. He saw the armrest on the right side open, slowly lifting up a small wooden box. Gu Qingzi opened the wooden box, revealing a golden yellow pill the size of an egg. As soon as the box was opened, Chen Ning and Jue Feng could smell a strange fragrance. Chen girl, eat this. Gu Qingzi gave the wooden box to Chen Ning with a serious expression. Yes, master. Chen Ning reached out to take it. She knew that Gu Qingzi would not harm her, so she ate the pill without any hesitation. Once the pill entered her mouth, she felt that it was fragrant and sweet, making her a bit reluctant to swallow it. After eating it, she felt the fragrance in her mouth, and even her breath was filled with a sweet smell. Master, what kind of pill is this? It tastes so good. Can you give me another one? She wanted to continue. She thought that Xiaoru would definitely like this kind of fragrant and sweet thing. If she could ask her master for one, she would be very happy. Another one? You make it sound so easy. Do you think these are jelly beans? You can have a lot of them? I'm telling you, this is the case. I collected 49 types of stamens and dewdrops from 49 types of flowers, as well as 49 types of venom from 49 types of poisonous insects, and 49 types of rare medicinal herbs to refine this pill. There is only one pill in the world, and now that you have eaten it, there is no more of it. Gu Qingzi's face turned serious as he angrily reprimanded Chen Ning. When he thought of how hard it was for him to refine the spirit pill, he couldn't help feeling pain and regret. This spirit pill is that hard to obtain. Chapter 1228. My, Gu Qingzi's things, which one of them isn't hard to come by? Gu Qingzi snappily stared at Chen Ning. Chen Ning stuck out her tongue in embarrassment and said with a smile, Yes, master's things are all treasures. This spirit rhinoceros pill requires this many complicated ingredients, so its effect must be amazing, right? Of course, after you take the spirit rhinoceros pill, you will be immune to all poisons. No matter who poisons you or if you're hit by a hidden weapon, you don't need to be afraid. No matter how strong the poison is, it will not have any effect on you. Gu Qingzi proudly said. That's strong. Hearing this, Chen Ning and Jue Feng couldn't help opening their eyes wide. Jue Feng's eyes were filled with envy as he listened, and his saliva almost came out. There is actually this kind of good thing in this world. Immune to all poisons. It was a pity there was only one. If there was a second one, he would have asked this divine Dr. Gu for his master no matter what. Master, this spirit rhinoceros pill, is this strong? Chen Ning was shocked and filled with regret. If she knew it would be like this, she wouldn't have eaten it. This kind of good medicine should have been left for Mo Chuan. As the emperor, there must have been many people who hated him and wanted his life. Mo Chuan's martial arts were strong, so if the person was a martial arts expert, he would not be afraid. However, it was easy to dodge a spear in the open, but hard to defend against a hidden arrow. He was afraid that someone would secretly poison him. That was hard to defend against. If this spirit rhinoceros pill was given to Mo Chuan, how good would that be? Her heart was filled with regret, but she did not dare show it on her face. This was because she knew that Gu Qingzi would rather feed the medicine to a dog than let her give it to Mo Chuan. Gu Qingze had been very generous and given the spirit rhinoceros pill he had kept for many years to Chun Ning. The more he thought about it, the more he regretted it. He finally couldn't help saying, "Little girl Chun, you have to compensate me for this spirit rhinoceros pill. I will teach you alchemy techniques in the future, as well as the recipe for this spirit rhinoceros pill." Chun Ning's eyes lit up, and she nodded without any hesitation. "Master can be assured. After you teach me, I will definitely refine a few more spirit rhinoceros pills for Master." She was thinking that if she really learned alchemy, she would definitely refine a few more. Not only would she give them to Gu Qingze, she would also give them to Mo Chuan. Refine a few? It's already your good fortune to be able to successfully refine one. Oomph. Gu Qingze's heart ached so much that he couldn't help glaring at Windchaser, which made Windchaser's hair stand on end. He thought that the person who took the Lingxi pill wasn't him. So why was Divine Dr. Gu glaring at him? Did he say or do something wrong? "Blockhead, did you do it on purpose?" Gu Qingze said coldly. "There was no danger at all. You deliberately exaggerated and made me give away a Lingxi pill for nothing." "Oomph." Zhuai Feng quickly said, "Divine Dr. Gu, even if Zhuai Feng had 100 guts, he wouldn't dare lie to you. I really felt someone hiding in the shadows, and his invisibility technique is not below mine. I actually can't find any traces of him. I'm useless." Chun Ning. Him, and two. Gu Qingze snorted again, but did not pursue the matter any further. He had been with Zhuai Feng for over 10 days and understood his personality very well. Zhuai Feng was an honest person, speaking his mind and not daring to lie. "Then will the conversation between us be overheard?" Gu Qingze asked again. Chapter 1229. Gu Qingze was still a little worried. "Chen girl, let's talk in the room." Chun Ning said, "Master, I want to see Xiao Bai first. I wonder if Xiao Bai has woken up yet? That stinky brat hasn't woken up yet. He's just a pig. Other than eating and sleeping, he hasn't even opened his eyes. It's best if you don't disturb him right now." When Gu Qingze mentioned Chu Xiao Bai, he did not have any good words to say. Chun Ning stuck out her tongue. She thought that Gu Qingze's temper was quite bad right now. It seemed like he didn't like everyone. Was it because she ate his spirit rhinoceros pill? Her heart was filled with guilt, and she felt very embarrassed. In order to make Gu Qingze happy, she deliberately said, "Master, I'm pushing you into the room, and you're in such a hurry to call me over. Could it be that you've researched how to make 20 crossbows?" Sure enough, her words immediately made Gu Qingze's gloomy face become excited as his brows began to dance. "Shoo, Chun girl, be careful of the ears. Let's talk in the room." He shushed her and revealed a mysterious expression. He suddenly turned around and glared at Zhuai Feng. "Blockhead brat, you're not allowed to eavesdrop on me and Chin girl. Zhuai Feng doesn't dare." Zhuai Feng immediately replied. But after Gu Qingze said this, he knew that he had said something useless. With Zhuai Feng's martial arts, he believed that if anyone within 20 meters spoke, he would be able to clearly hear them. Chun Ning pushed Gu Qingze into the quiet room he was resting in. As soon as the door was closed, Gu Qingze jumped out of his chair. He impatiently picked up a large stack of papers and presented it to Chun Ning like he was presenting a treasure. "Chin girl, take a look. This is the blueprint I designed 20 crossbows." Although he was extremely excited, he still suppressed his voice to a very low level. This was because he knew that the value of this design could not be estimated. If this was spread out, he, Gu Qingze, would not be able to live in peace for the rest of his life. Not to mention West Chu wanting this design at all costs. The other 3 countries would definitely view Gu Qingze as a rare commodity. They would only be satisfied if they had it. But he had a natural disposition and was used to being alone. He would not be like Qi Yinyu, who was willing to work for the Northern Qi royal family. No matter how high Qi Yinyu's forging skills were, he was still a slave. He, Gu Qingze, looked down on slaves with no backbone. Chun Ning had already expected this. Hearing Gu Qingze's words, she was still overjoyed. Chun Ning had already expected this. Hearing Gu's words, She was overjoyed. In the past 2 days, she had looked at the blueprints of the quintuple repeating crossbow and the juga repeating crossbow. She already had a clear understanding of the principles and structure of the crossbow. Although the blueprints that Gu Qingze had drawn were numerous and messy, she could still understand them. Master, you're so smart. You actually thought of making 2 arrow boxes and specially made arrows. This way, you can solve the problem of the heavy crossbow, she said with surprise and joy. Qingze could not help revealing proud. Chen's heart. Qingze Qingve said, he proud. As expected of the disciple that he had taken a fancy to, he had immediately hit the mark that he was most proud of. Chun, Ning, Chun, she, he, I. Chun, I said, I see. Chun Ning smiled and continued to look at the blueprints. The more she looked, the more admiration she felt. Chapter 12:30. Chun Ning was certain that with this blueprint, she would be able to create a 20 crossbow that would shock the world. 20 crossbows, shooting 20 arrows at the same time. The might of it did not need to be said. But this was not the most powerful part. The most powerful part was that it was small and light, so a single person could use it. She remembered that Chu Xiaoyang had superb archery skills. His cloud-piercing arrows could shoot 20 arrows in a single breath, and no one in the capital could compare to him. It could be called the best archery in the world. But if these 20 crossbows were made, even a random person could have Chu Xiaoyang's divine archery skills. If these 20 crossbows were used on the battlefield, whether it was defending or attacking, it would be an incomparably sharp and invincible superweapon. It could be called the king of cold weapons. Qin Ning could almost imagine Mo Chuan's shocked expression when he found out that there was someone in this world that had created the 20 crossbow blueprint. Her hand holding the blueprint couldn't help slightly trembling. Master, these 20 crossbows are too shocking. Once they appear, it will definitely cause a stir. But I think Master's meaning is that you don't plan on letting others know about this. Qin Ning looked at his expression and guessed what Gu Qingze was thinking. Gu Qingze had a proud look on his face. His calm face couldn't help revealing a smile. What fame? It's just like a fart. It's all fake. Your master has never liked that kind of bullshit fame. What #1 divine doctor in the world? It's like your master is nothing but bullshit other than medical skills. Humph! Who in this world knows that I, Gu Qingze, am not best at medical skills, but rather at manufacturing skills? Qianyu, if you knew that I, Gu Qingze, designed 20 crossbows, would you kneel down and kowtow to me? Ha! Even if you want to be my, Gu Qingze's disciple, I won't even look at you. His eyes slightly narrowed and his voice filled with ridicule. It was like there really was a Qi Yinyu kneeling down in front of him, begging him to become his disciple. Qin Ning never thought that Gu Qingze would have this kind of childish side. She couldn't help secretly laughing, but she didn't show it on her face at all. Master, do you have a grudge with this Qi Yinyu? She asked in a curious voice. Grudge? That's not true. However, Master just can't stand his conduct. He's known as the world's #1 crafting master, but Master just can't accept it. What kind of world's #1 crafting master is he? Can he make 20 crossbows? Qin Ning suppressed a smile and seriously replied, Of course he can't. Master is the #1 in the world. Not only is your medical skills #1, your manufacturing skills are also #1 in the world. Gu Qingze stared at her and said, Qi is to Qi Yinyu, Master is the #1 in the world. But his lips couldn't help curling up and his eyes were filled with smiles. It was clear that Qin Ning's words had entered his ears. He did not care about a trivial reputation, but Qin Ning's praise was different from others. He knew that this little disciple of his was very smart and could be considered a rare talent that only appeared once in 100 years. There were not many people in this world that could be praised by her. Chapter 12:31. Gu Qingze rolled his eyes at her, already seeing through her thoughts. He snorted and said, You little fox, stop trying to show off your cleverness in front of your master. Do you think your master doesn't know your narrow-mindedness? You want to give this blueprint to your darling husband? don't you? Chen Ning's face couldn't help turning red. She thought that her master was truly amazing. She had only said a single sentence, and he had already seen through her thoughts. She openly admitted it. That's right. Didn't Master anxiously call me over to give this blueprint to me? She pursed her lips into a smile. Give it to you? Who said your master wanted to give it to you? Gu Qingzi stared at her. Then, Master wants to exchange it? Chen Ning blinked her eyes. What do you have that you can exchange with me? Gu Qingzi looked at her. Chen Ning couldn't help sweating. She really didn't have anything valuable other than the medical books in her mind. But if she used the medical books to exchange for the blueprint, it would seem insincere and she would be letting down her master's feelings for her. Master, you've accepted a poor disciple. My pockets are even cleaner than my face. I can't afford it. She honestly replied. She knew that a virtuous person like Gu Qingzi would definitely not want money. So what exactly did he want? No matter how smart she was, she couldn't guess his thoughts. Gu Qingzi was almost amused by her. He liked to hear this disciple say some strange and inexplicable words. Every time he heard it, it would make him happy. You stingy person, you actually have the nerve to say that you're poor in front of your master? You are the queen of a country. Your pockets are cleaner than your face? Only you can say that. After Gu Qingzi finished scolding her, he couldn't help curling his lips into a smile. But master, you also know that my title as the queen of a country is just an empty title. It can't be taken seriously. Then again, him having money is his problem. I have never thought of spending a man's money. It's not like I don't have the ability to make money. Good, you have ambition. Your master likes ambitious people. When Gu Qingzi heard this, he couldn't help clapping his hands in praise. His admiration for her increased by another level. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and said, Then what does master want in exchange for this blueprint? What do you want me to use to exchange? Gu Qingzi snappily said, Your pockets are cleaner than your face. What valuable thing can you use to exchange with me? Do you think your master's blueprints are worthless cabbages? It's not hard for you to want the blueprint. I just want you to promise me one. What condition? She asked in a strange voice. I want you to participate in a competition on my behalf. This competition is very important, and you're only allowed to win. You're not allowed to lose. If you lose, Master will immediately expel you from the sect. The smile on the corners of Gu Qingzi's mouth vanished without a trace. His expression was incomparably solemn, and his tone was extremely stern. Master, what kind of competition is it? Seeing how serious Gu Qingzi was, Chen Ning became even more curious. You don't have to ask so many questions. You just have to tell me whether you agree or not. Gu. And Gu, you say it. Gu. Gu. Tita say. Chen Ning blinked and said, Master, you won't tell me what competition it is, and you're telling me that I won't lose. Isn't this making things difficult for me? If you want me to compete with others in embroidery, eating and drinking, or breaking a monument with one palm, then I might as well just admit defeat. Chapter 1232. Chen Ning spread out her hands and giggled as she said, Master is still making it hard for me. I don't know anything about medicine right now, and although I have the #1 master in the world, I haven't learned any medical skills at all. How do you want me to compete? No matter what the other side asks, I will lose. Her words were clearly retreating to advance, angering Gu Qingzi to the point where he could only glare at her. He had a large headache and was secretly wondering if he had gone crazy. Why did he take this crafty little girl as his disciple? Wasn't this just asking for trouble? You don't need to use indirect methods to provoke your master. Since your master has taken you as his disciple, I will definitely teach you to become a famous doctor. Humph, you're naturally talented and have a photographic memory. These skills are even better than your master's. Adding in a master expert like me teaching you. If you can't finish your studies in a year, do you still have the face to call me master in the future? I want to learn master's medical skills in a year? Chen Ning smacked her lips and said with a bitter smile, Master, you think too highly of me. Even good iron needs to be tempered. You should rest and slack off for this year. Once that stinky young master is better, You will immediately return to the godly physician valley with me. Without any distractions, you can focus on your studies. Gu Qingzi said with a serious face. Master, you want to bring me to the godly physician valley for a year? Chen Ning was shocked. What, you're not willing? You want to stay here and be the empress? You don't want to give up on wealth, right? Gu Qingzi's face sunk like it was covered in a layer of frost. Chen Ning shook her head. She was willing to learn medicine, especially after personally witnessing how Gu Qingzi used all his effort to save Chu Xiaobai from the god of death. This made her even more confident in learning medicine. If she had learned medicine well, she wouldn't have been so helpless when she saw her loved ones getting sick or injured. If I really was a greedy person, would Master still take me as a disciple? Master, it's not that I don't want to return to the godly physician valley with you only. Her face turned a little red, thinking that Mo Chuan would never agree. Dr. Zhang had only told him to wait for a month, but he was already unwilling. If she told him that she wanted to separate from him for a year, would Mo Chuan agree? You're not willing to leave your emperor husband? Gu Qingzi saw through her thoughts and gave a laugh. What's there to be unwilling about? How old are you? You're already immersed in love. What future can you have? It's just a year, but when you learn medicine, you can benefit tens of thousands of people. It's just a year, but when you learn medicine, you will be able to leave. His words made Chen Ning feel ashamed. She lowered her head and said, Master's teachings are correct. All right, I promise Master that when Xiaobai recovers, I will go with Master to the godly physician valley to learn. Gu Qingzi revealed a faint smile. Chen is my good disciple. Master's efforts in developing these 20 repeating crossbows were not in vain. Chen Ning Chen. Chen Ning blinked. She couldn't help feeling angry and funny at the same time. She called out, Master. Only now did she understand why Gu Qingzi would forget to eat and sleep to study those 20 crossbows, and why he immediately called her over as soon as he finished drawing the blueprint. He had clearly dug a trap for her to jump into. Chapter 1233. Gu Qingzi leisurely leaned back in his chair. He smiled as he looked at Chen Ning and said, Little girl Chen, why don't you give this 20 crossbow a name? Chen Ning's heart was filled with anger as she blurted out, Let's call it the Godly Dr. Crossbow. No, the Godly Dr. Crossbow doesn't have any aura. It doesn't match such a domineering crossbow. Gu Qingzi was not angry. He looked up and thought for a bit. What do you think about calling it the Mountain Pushing Crossbow? Mountain Pushing Crossbow? It has the power to move mountains and rivers. Good. Chen Ning nodded and said in agreement. Master's name is more imposing. Then let's call it the Mountain Pushing Crossbow. Although she pretended to be angry on the surface, she was filled with gratitude for Gu Qingzi's painstaking efforts. After being in contact with Gu Qingzi for this period of time, she already knew that he was a person with a cold face, but a warm heart. He would be cold to people that he didn't care about, but if they entered his eyes, he would protect them and treat them with all his heart. He had accepted her as his disciple and truly treated her as his disciple. Hearing that she was in danger, he did not hesitate to take out the spirit rhinoceros pill that he had kept for many years. Knowing that she wanted the 20 crossbows, he did his best to help her fulfill her wish. Even saving Chu Xiaobai, he did his best. Chen Ning looked at Gu Qingzi's messy hair, his sunken eyes, and his sloppy appearance. Her eyes couldn't help becoming hot. In the few days since arriving in the capital, he hadn't had a good night's sleep, nor had he had a good meal. He had lost a lot of weight. This master of his really couldn't be any better to her. But thinking about it, she really hadn't done anything for him. Her heart was filled with shame. She secretly thought that her master's request for her was to learn his medical skills. This was the only way she could repay her master's kindness. As for why he spent so much effort to make her study medicine with him, that was not important at all. The important thing was that she saw what Gu Qingzi had done for her. Master, once Xiao Bai's injuries are healed, we'll go back to the Godly Doctor Valley. I promised Master that I would definitely win that competition. I definitely won't lose Master's face and ruin Master's reputation. She looked up with sparkling eyes and a determined expression. Good girl, then it's a promise. You can take away the mountain pushing crossbow blueprints and give it to whoever you want. It's yours. Remember, you can't tell a single word of what I said to you today. As for who made this mountain pushing crossbow, I don't even want to know. It has nothing to do with me. Chun Ning smiled as she put away the blueprints like they were treasures. She took out a wooden box and placed it in her arms. She knew that Gu Qingze said this because he didn't want the mountain-pushing crossbow to have anything to do with him in the slightest, lest he would be troubled in the future. I understand. Master, don't worry. Look at your dirty appearance. How long has it been since you last bathed? Your body is stinking. She deliberately frowned and pinched her nose. Gu Qingze's face couldn't help but turn red. He lifted his sleeve and smelled it. Oh, it really smelled good. Isn't this master doing this to save that stinky brat and to draw these broken blueprints? You heartless disciple, actually daring to look down on your master. Now your master will punish you. Immediately bring me a large basin of bath water. It has to be hot. The hotter the better. Chapter 1234. Chun Ning walked out with a smile. Zhu Feng was guarding the yard, looking in a certain direction with a vigilant expression. Hearing the sound, his sharp eyes looked over. Seeing that it was Chun Ning, he let out a sigh of relief. Not long ago, he had suddenly felt danger approaching, so he jumped onto the roof and went up to meet it. Who would have thought that before he could even get close, that dangerous aura would disappear? Zhu Feng looked around and did not find any traces at all, making him even more vigilant. He was now certain that there was indeed someone spying on them in the surroundings. Moreover, this person's concealment technique was not inferior to his. Even he cannot track them. Expert, it was definitely an expert. Seeing Chun Ning come out, he immediately went forward. Empress, we can't stay here for long. Let's quickly return to the palace, he suggested. Chun Ning nodded. She was holding the wooden box with the blueprints in her hands. The value of these thin blueprints could not be estimated, and she wanted to send them safely into Mo Chuan's hands as soon as possible. Wait for me to see Xiao Bai, and then we'll return to the palace. That's right, Zhu Feng. I have something very important here, and I'm afraid that something will happen on the way back to the palace. Think of a way to send a group of royal guards over to escort us back to the palace. Her words matched Zhu Feng's intentions. Empress, please be assured, this subordinate will immediately gather people. He took out a firework from his chest and threw it into the air. There was a flame that shot into the sky, just like a meteor flying across the sky. This is this subordinate's secret signal for the secret guards. Not long after, there will be secret guards coming to escort the Empress. Their martial arts are much higher than the royal guards, so they will follow in secret and not reveal themselves. If there really is someone that wants to harm the Empress, they will definitely not be able to come and go. Zhu Feng confidently patted his chest. Chun Ning nodded with a faint smile. She called over the servants of Dr. Zhang's palace and ordered them to prepare a bath for Gu Qingze. She also found 2 servants to serve him before softly walking into Chu Xiaobai's room. Dr. Zhang was currently taking Chu Xiaobai's pulse. Seeing her come in, he quickly stood up and bowed. How is Xiaobai? Has he woken up yet? Dr. Zhang shook his head and said in a soft voice, King Jingin's pulse is very calm, but he hasn't woken up yet. The divine Dr. Gu said that sleep is the best way for him to recover, so he ordered no one to disturb King Jingin's rest. He also had people feed King Jing twice a day. Chun Ning nodded and walked in front of the bed. Sure enough, she saw that Chu Xiaobai's face was very peaceful. His pale face had recovered a bit of blood, no longer having that lifeless look. Her heart was filled with joy. She looked up and saw Dr. Zhang's puzzled expression. She asked in a small voice, Dr. Zhang, do you have any questions? Chapter 1235. Dr. Zhang was very envious of Chun Ning. As the disciple of the godly doctor, she could ask her master if she had any questions, but he did not have this fortune. So he could only use this kind of roundabout method to find the answer to his question. Chen Ning admired his attitude of learning from old age. He was not like the other doctors in the yard who were stubborn and arrogant. They thought that after entering the yard, they could look down on their peers. All right, my master is currently bathing, and he hasn't rested in a long time. Once he's rested, I will definitely ask my master for advice. Dr. Zhang, I have an urgent matter that requires me to return to the palace. I'll ask Dr. Zhang to take care of Xiaobai. Empress, please be assured. This old minister will do his best to take care of King Jing, and Dr. Zhang respectfully sent Chen Ning to the door. Zhui Feng came forward. Empress, the secret guards are here. Let's return to the palace. They're here. Chen Ning looked around and did not see a single extra person. However, she knew that these secret guards were hiding in a place that others could not see. She instantly felt her heart calm down. Holding the wooden box, she left the palace and entered a small blue silk sedan. Zhui Feng followed behind the sedan, and the other secret guards did not appear. They were hidden in the shadows as they escorted Chen Ning back to the palace. Damn, where did these powerful fellows come from, ruining this young master's plans? In a corner that Zhui Feng could not see, a pair of phoenix eyes revealed a cold glow. He looked at Chen Ning's sedan with hatred as it went further and further away until it disappeared. That skinny bamboo pole, he doesn't look like he has any meat on him, but he is actually powerful. This young master has hidden himself this far away, but he can still feel this young master's existence. This young master has really underestimated him. The red-clothed young master said to himself, but very quickly, the depressed look on his face disappeared, and he revealed a country-destroying smile. In this world, this young master has never failed to take someone's head. This time will not be an exception. All right, I'll let you live for a few more days. Have a taste of the little thing this young master has prepared for you. After he said this, the red figure disappeared without a trace. After the red-clothed young master disappeared, Zhui Feng suddenly felt that indescribable pressure disappear. He couldn't help looking in the direction the red-clothed young master was hiding before using his qigong. Like a breeze, he floated to that corner. There was a faint smell in the air. He forcefully inhaled it, and suddenly felt that this smell was a bit familiar. It was like he had smelled it before, but he could not remember. But there was indeed someone hiding here before. He was certain that this person was someone who wanted to harm Chen Ning. But he had suddenly disappeared. What reason would make him give up? He must have seen the whereabouts of his shadow guards, which was why he retreated. Zhui Feng did not dare leave Chen Ning's side for too long. He looked around and did not find any clues left by the red-clothed young master. He did not stay for long and quickly caught up to Chen Ning's sedan chair. The palace not of Ning of said. Chen Ning directly returned to the Guan Osprey Palace and found that Mo Chuan was not back yet. She brought Zhui Feng and the wooden box to the royal study. Chapter 1236. What made Chen Ning feel strange was that there was not a single guard around the royal study. Other than Xiao Si, there was no one else. What was going on? Her heart felt strange. She walked next to Xiao Si and called out, "Xiao Si, is the emperor inside?" It was unknown what Xiao Si was thinking, but he did not even notice Chen Ning walking next to him. Only when he heard this did he suddenly look up and see Chen Ning. "Royal Empress." The expression on his face suddenly changed like a mouse seeing a cat. He jumped up from the stairs and turned to run into the royal study. "Xiao Si, stop. Am I a tiger that you're running when you see me?" Chen Ning's heart was filled with doubt as she shouted at him. Xiao Si's heart was filled with bitterness, but he did not dare not listen to her. He could only stop and turn around, bowing to Chen Ning. "This servant greets the empress," he said in a loud voice. Chen Ning was even more suspicious. Xiao Si raising his voice for no reason was clearly for the people in the royal study to hear. He was sending a message. This meant that Mo Chuan in the royal study had Xiao Si stand guard outside. What was he doing inside that he had to be so mysterious, even hiding her from him? But Chen Ning did not expose Xiao Si and just softly said, Xiao Si, why are you running? Is the emperor in the royal study? Xiao Si nodded and bowed as he said, yes, the emperor is inside. This servant wants to send a message for the empress. I asked the empress to wait a bit. This servant will immediately send a message. He quickly turned to leave, but Chen Ning cut him off again. There's no need to send a message. Chen Ning walked past Xiao Si and walked into the royal study. She reached out to push the door, but she did not push it open. The door was actually bolted from the inside. He had guessed correctly. There was something strange inside. Xiao Si's face was filled with fear. He desperately looked at Zhu Feng and pouted his lips, telling him to think of a way to take Chen Ning away. Zhu Feng looked at Xiao Si with a confused expression. Xiao Si, why is your mouth crooked? Also, why are you blinking at me? Are you convulsing? Next time you go to Dr. Zhang's palace and find the ancient divine doctor to take a look. As long as the ancient divine doctor can make a move, he will be able to cure your convulsion. He sincerely said, Wind, are you King stupid? Xiao Si could not breathe and was almost choked to death by Zhu Feng. Zhu Feng's face sank. Xiao Si, I'm talking to you nicely. Why are you scolding me? So what if I scold you? I even hit you. I'll beat you up, you muddle-headed fellow. Xiao Si raised his hand and slapped Zhu Feng's face. With Zhu Feng's back, how could Xiao Si hit him? He lightly dodged and dodged Xiao Si's palm. Then, he pushed Xiao Si's shoulder. Xiao Si lost his footing and fell to the ground. Good boy, you really hit me. Xiao Si's chin hurt, and he was filled with anger. He jumped up from the ground and clenched his fists, attacking Zhu Feng like a storm. Zhu Feng's figure moved as he dodged Xiao Si's fists. He asked with a face of concern, Xiao Si, I didn't push you on purpose. Did it hurt? It hurts so much. What's the use of apologizing now? Why didn't you think about apologizing when you pushed me? Little Four angrily shouted, his attacks becoming more and more vicious. Chapter 1237. When Chen Ning saw this, she felt it was very funny. Xiao Si was truly loyal to his master. Did he think that he could attract her attention with this move? He was looking down on Chen Ning too much. She pushed the door again, but it still did not open. She tilted her head and listened. The royal study was completely silent. If Mo Chuan was here, he would have heard her voice and come to open the door. So, something must have happened inside. Zhu Feng and Xiao Si were fighting intensely in the yard at this time. Chen Ning did not even look at the two of them as she punched the window paper. She reached in and opened the door latch before walking in without any hesitation. Io! Xiao Si saw this from the corner of his eyes, and his chin almost fell off. He quickly wanted to stop her, but he was entangled by Zhu Feng and could not escape. Zhu Feng, you fool, what are you entangling me for? Quickly stop. He angrily shouted. Why are you scolding me again? Xiao Si, I didn't offend you. Moreover, you were the one who made a move first. Zhu Feng kept blabbering, and his hands did not stop, making it impossible for Xiao Si to escape. Zhu Feng, quickly stop. I need to go in and stop the Empress, otherwise something big is going to happen. Xiao Si shouted. He did not care about Zhu Feng's palm as he turned around and ran into the royal study. Zhu Feng's palm had already reached Xiao Si's back, and he was frozen in the air. He looked at Xiao Si in a daze, completely confused. With a pung sound, when Xiao Si was about to enter the royal study, the two doors suddenly closed in front of him. Xiao Si could not stop in time, and his head hit the door. His nose hit the door frame, and his nose turned sour as two streams of tears flowed down. Xiao Si, your guard skills aren't bad. You should stay outside to guard the door. Chen Ning's cold voice came from behind the door. Xiao Si's heart turned cold. He rubbed his nose and stared at the large hole in the window paper in a daze. His heart was filled with bitterness, but he did not dare open the door again. Zhu Feng rushed over and said, The Empress has something to see the Emperor about. Why are you using all sorts of excuses to not let the Empress in? With your current appearance, you deserve it. Xiao Si angrily stared at his gloating face. With a snort, he turned his face away and scolded, Idiot! Who are you calling an idiot? Zhui Feng's face turned cold and his eyes turned cold. Whoever answers me is an idiot. Xiao Si, don't think that just because we are brothers, I won't teach you a lesson. If you dare scold me again. Zhui Feng coldly raised his fist. Xiao Si didn't even look at him. He walked over to the steps and sat down, letting out a long sigh. It's over. The Empress has gone in. She's definitely in big trouble now. What should we do later? Zhui Feng was confused hearing this. He couldn't help walking beside him and asking, Xiao Si, what are you muttering about? What idiot? Xiao Si angrily scolded. If it wasn't for your unreasonable pestering, I would definitely have been able to stop the Empress. Now, it's over. The Emperor will definitely kill me. Xiao Si, speak clearly. The Emperor should be happy to see the Empress. Why would he hit you? Chapter 1238. Who else is there? Zhaorong Princess. Xiao Si said in a low voice. What? The Zhaorong Princess is inside. With the Emperor. Hearing this, Zhui Feng's mouth fell open in shock as he revealed a look of disbelief. Of course. Xiao Si rolled his eyes at him. It's not 2 people now, it's 3 people. The Empress has also gone in. AI, what do you think we should do? He looked like he was about to cry. Chen Ning entered the royal study and closed the door to Xiao Si. She turned around and looked around the room, but there was not a single person there. There was a dragon throne behind the throne filled with documents, but Mo Chuan's figure was not there. She raised her voice and called out, Mo Chuan. No one responded to her. Chen Ning thought about it, and then walked into the quiet room behind the royal study. There was a soft couch in the quiet room. Mo Chuan would sometimes rest on the couch when he was tired. Perhaps Mo Chuan had fallen asleep? Xiao Si was afraid that she would disturb Mo Chuan's rest. So he stopped her outside the door? She laughed inwardly at her own paranoia. Softening her steps, she arrived in front of the quiet room. She saw that the 2 doors were closed and there was no sound coming from inside. Mo Chuan must have fallen asleep. That's why he did not hear her footsteps. Moreover, he must be sleeping very soundly. Otherwise, with his cultivation, he would have woken up with the slightest movement. Chen Ning hesitated a bit, not knowing if she should go in and disturb him. At this time, she suddenly heard a woman's whisper. The voice was sweet and soft, like it was about to melt. Cousin. When this voice entered her ears, Chen Ning's body trembled. Zhaorong Princess. Why was she here? Woo. There was nothing strange about her being here. She was the Zhaorong Princess and was Mo Chuan's cousin. Chen Ning raised her brows and reached out to open the door. She was shocked by the scene in the room. As she expected, Mo Chuan's eyes were closed, and he was sleeping soundly on the couch. However, there was another girl beside him. Her clothes were untidy, her shoulders were slightly exposed, and her skin was as white as snow. She was currently leaning against Mo Chuan's chest with one hand around Mo Chuan's neck. Her eyes were closed, and the 2 of them were in a very intimate position. Although she could only see half of the girl's face, Chen Ning immediately recognized her. This girl was the Zhaorong Princess, but she could tell with a glance that Mo Chuan was really asleep and the Zhaorong Princess was pretending to be asleep. Her eyelashes were trembling, as if she was peeking at her. Hee, such small tricks. Chen Ning was secretly laughing in her stomach, but her face was as cold as ice. With a cold look on her face, she suddenly turned around and left without saying a word. Ning Ning couldn't help smiling as she looked at Chen's back. Yeah, he left in anger just like that. She couldn't help but reveal a smile on her face. Ning Ning Chun, Shi Chuan Chuan, Chun smiling. She heard Chen Ning's footsteps coming back and quickly closed her eyes. She leaned against Mo Chuan's chest and continued to pretend to sleep. Of Ling of King Chun, comma, and comma, of she, comma, she, of. Chapter 1239. The Zhaorong Princess was caught off guard and let out a scream. It was like she had been stung by a scorpion as she jumped off the couch. She felt a burning pain where the water had landed. Looking down, she saw that her body was completely red and there was red water dripping down her clothes. Her face fell in fright. "Sheep woman, what are you doing? What did you do?" She panicked as she covered her face and shouted, my face hurts so much." Chun Ning threw the empty basin on the ground and coldly said, "This time it's pepper water to teach you a lesson. If you dare climb onto the dragon couch again, I will pour vinegar on your face and ruin it." "Chili water. How dare you pour chili water on me? You. So it's you. Little fox spirit, you really are bold, actually sneaking into the palace." The Zhaorong princess finally realized that the person in front of her was Chun Ning. She gritted her teeth in hatred. "Why would I need to sneak in? I live in the palace." Chun Ning coldly looked at her, and then her eyes fell onto Mo Chuan on the couch. Although her bowl of pepper water was poured on Zhaorong princess, Mo Chuan was also drenched quite a bit. His dragon robe turned into a red robe, but he was still in a deep sleep. With Mo Chuan's cultivation, he would not be like this, so he must have been tricked. "You live in the palace? My cousin actually brought a little fox spirit like you into the palace?" The Zhaorong princess did not care about the burning pain on her face as she pointed at Chun Ning and screamed out. Her eyes revealed a deep hatred. Chun Ning slightly curled her lips and suddenly asked, "Who is the little fox spirit scolding?" "The little fox spirit scolding you." The Zhaorong princess blurted out without any hesitation. As soon as she said this, she immediately realized that she had been tricked by Chun Ning again. She was so angry that she almost spat out blood. She raised her right palm and slapped at Chun Ning's face. She hated Chun Ning to the core and wanted to destroy the other side's beautiful face. With this move, she used all her internal energy. This move was very ruthless and very fast. In terms of words, even Tin Zhaorong princess would not be a match for Chun Ning. But in terms of martial arts, even Tin Chun Ning would not be a match for a single Zhaorong princess. Even if Chun Ning had learned some modern martial arts, she did not have any internal energy at all. Although the Zhaorong princess was not a martial arts expert, it was more than enough to deal with her. When the Zhaorong princess saw the palm fly out, the wind was very strong, causing Chun Ning's hair to fly up. Chun Ning just stood there in a daze, not moving at all. She clearly did not have any chance to retaliate. Her heart filled with pride and joy as she revealed a fierce smile. "Little slut, die," she shouted. Now, that Mo Chuan wasn't standing up for her. She was just a fish in his palm. Chun. The Zhaorong princess only saw a gray shadow flash in front of her, and it was like a gray wind had come in from the door. Her right arm violently trembled, and a large force hit her. She couldn't help taking a few steps back, and she almost fell to the ground. Her palm had missed, so naturally she was not willing. Looking over, she saw a thin bamboo stick person standing in front of Chun Ning, protecting her. It was the driver that had driven Chun Ning's carriage. Her heart instantly turned cold, and she began to tremble. Zhui Feng was like a killing god from hell that day. It had truly scared her to death. Chapter 1240. She pointed at Zhui Feng and shouted, "I am the Zhaorong princess. Have you forgotten this princess identity? This is the royal palace, the emperor's study. It is not a place for you to act wildly. In front of the emperor, you two are flirting like this, truly a good pair of husband and..." Before the word wife could even come out, Chun Ning's brows jumped up and she said, "Zhui Feng, slap her." Yes. Zhui Feng had long disliked the Zhaorong princess' arrogance. Last time, because of her princess status, he did not dare make a move. He only smashed her carriage as a small punishment. Now that he found out that the Zhaorong princess dared to make a move against the empress and slander his and the empress' reputation, he did not want to endure it anymore. Pa 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 pa. A few crisp slaps rang out. Zhaorong Juanju's cheeks now had a few red handprints on them. Zhui Feng did not use any internal strength, so these slaps only made the Zhaorong princess feel pain, but she was not injured. Even if it was like this was the biggest shame the Zhaorong princess had ever experienced since she was born. What kind of thing are you, daring to hit this princess? "You dog! Couple, this princess will skin you alive and tear your corpses into 10,000 pieces." The Zhaorong princess was filled with rage as her eyes turned blood red. She hated Chun Ning and Zhue Feng to the extreme, but she was afraid of Zhue Feng's martial arts, so she did not dare make a move. "I am following the Empress' orders. Whatever the Empress wants this subordinate to do, this subordinate will do," Zhue Feng coldly replied. "What Empress? You're saying that this little slut is the Empress." "Empress? Humph, is she worthy?" The Zhaorong princess gave a laugh, clearly not believing it at all. "What? This princess is not worthy of being the Empress. Then does the princess feel that you are suitable for this position? All right. As long as the Emperor agrees, this princess is willing to give the Empress position to you." Chun Ning revealed a faint smile and called herself this princess. The Zhaorong princess was filled with rage and was about to curse out loud. Her eyes swept over and fell onto Chun Ning's waist. She was instantly stunned like her acupuncture point had been poked. There was a ribbon hanging from Chun Ning's waist, and there was a phoenix-shaped jade pendant on it. It was very lifelike, and the carvings were very exquisite. Even the phoenix feathers were clearly carved, as if they were about to fly. The jade was a pure white, showing that it was a rare piece of jade. She was a knowledgeable person and knew that this treasure was not normal. Looking at it carefully, she could see that this was not a normal treasure. Could it be that she was the Empress? The Zhaorong princess sucked in a cold breath. She looked up and stared at Chun Ning in disbelief. Are you really the Empress?" She squeezed out a few words. Chun Ning carelessly combed her hair that had been messed up by the wind from her palm. She found a chair to sit down and calmly looked at her. "There's nothing good about being the Empress. Isn't she still beaten and scolded by others? When the Emperor wakes up, I'll tell the Emperor that I don't want to be the Empress anymore. He can give it to whoever he wants." Hearing this, the Zhaorong princess was pleasantly surprised. She ignored the pain on her cheeks and asked, "Really? Will you keep your word?" Chapter 1241. Zhue Feng did not dare agree as he said, "Empress, you can't." He couldn't help looking at Imo Chuan on the couch and thinking, what's wrong with the Emperor? Why is he still pretending to be asleep? Can't you see that there's already a big fight going on here? The Empress doesn't even want the Empress position. If he still doesn't wake up, what should we do about this matter? Xiaoxi was hiding far away, afraid of being scolded by Imo Chuan. When he heard that Zhue Feng had received Chun Ning's orders to slap the Zhaorong princess, and the Empress was angry, saying that she didn't want to be the Empress anymore, what could he do? He didn't care about anything else as he quickly charged in. "Emperor, Emperor, wake up. Oh, what's wrong with the Emperor?" He called out to Imo Chuan several times, but Imo Chuan was still asleep. Xiaoxi finally realized that something was wrong and began to panic. Chun Ning's eyes turned and fell onto the 2 teacups on the table. She already knew what was going on and couldn't help glaring at the unconscious Imo Chuan. If it wasn't for him losing his guard against the Zhaorong princess, how could he have fallen into this trap? She calmly sat on the chair and lightly said, "Perhaps the Emperor doesn't want to wake up. Let him continue to sleep. Junju Nyang Nyang, you're a dignified Junju. Coming to the imperial study without being summoned and sleeping with the Emperor in disheveled clothes. If this matter were spread, I'm afraid it wouldn't be good for your reputation, right?" Zhue Feng and Xiaoxi's eyes immediately looked over at the Zhaorong princess. If Chun Ning didn't remind them, they wouldn't have noticed that the Zhaorong princess's clothes were indeed disheveled. Her collar was open, revealing half of her shoulder, but her body was dripping wet, just like a plucked chicken. Their hearts skipped a beat. They were secretly thinking that the Emperor wouldn't have done that with her, right? The Zhaorong princess' face turned red from the strange gazes of the 2 of them. She quickly pulled up her clothes and then glared at Chun Ning. Chun Ning's eyes were filled with hatred. She had purposely pulled up her clothes to create the illusion that the rice had been cooked, angering Chun Ning away. She didn't care about her reputation at all. As long as she could become the Emperor's cousin's woman, she could pay any price. "Empress, is what you just said true? If the emperor wakes up and personally says that he doesn't want you, will you give up the empress position? She impatiently asked. Hearing this, Zhou Feng and Xiao Si looked at her with a look of disdain. It was unknown if this Zhao Rong princess head had been squeezed by a door, but her words were very childish. They had all seen how the emperor treated the empress. Even if the world was dyed red, the emperor would not abandon the empress. But why didn't the emperor wake up? If something happened between the emperor and Zhao Rong, then what Feng would be the emperor? Chen Ning gave a TSK and curled her lips as she said, Princess Consort, not only is your brain not working well, even your ears are not working well. Don't you remember what I just said? As the saying goes, what you eat will nourish you. It seems that your highness should eat more pigs' brains and ears in the future to nourish yourself. Xiao Si couldn't help but let out a laugh. Chapter 1242. Cousin, wake up. Cousin, wake up. The Zhaorong princess back was facing everyone as she shook Missouri Chuan's shoulder. Her voice was sweet and soft, giving Zhou Feng and Xiao Si goosebumps. The Zhaorong princess blocked everyone's view and secretly took out a small porcelain bottle from her sleeve. She shook it in front of Mo Chuan's nose. Mo Chuan sneezed a few times and slowly opened his eyes. His consciousness was still a little hazy. Suddenly, a warm and soft body threw itself into his arms and hugged his neck. Cousin, you're finally awake. Mo Chuan's body turned cold and his eyes opened wide. He saw that the girl in his embrace was the Zhao Rong princess, and he pushed her away without any politeness. Zhao Rong, what did you put in the tea? He took a deep breath, and his internal energy flowed through his body. His originally blurry mind became clear. He immediately thought back to the scene before he fainted. The Zhaorong princess came without an invitation and used the excuse of catching up to apologize for what happened yesterday. The common saying was that one shouldn't hit a smiling person. The Zhaorong princess had apologized in a soft voice and brought up the past. So naturally, Mo Chuan couldn't lower his face to scold her. The Zhaorong princess poured 2 cups of tea and gave one to him. She said that she wanted to use tea instead of wine to apologize to him. He had never thought that Zhao Rong Junju, who he viewed as his little sister, would play tricks with the tea. After drinking the tea, he immediately realized that something was wrong. He wanted to use his internal energy to force the medicine out of the tea, but before he could do so, he fell onto the soft couch and fell into a deep sleep. Zhao Rong, you really are bold, actually daring to drug this one. Mo Chuan thought of that scene, and his heart filled with anger. His right hand reached out and tightly grabbed the Zhao Rong princess' wrist as he questioned her in a sharp voice. Cousin, you're hurting Rong? What drug? Rong doesn't know anything. The Zhao Rong princess felt a sharp pain in her wrist and tears came out, making her look even more pitiful. You? Mo Chuan's voice suddenly stopped. His eyes fell on Chen Ning's face, and his angry face couldn't help revealing a shocked expression. Ninger, why are you here? Chen Ning held the wooden box, and her clear black and white eyes looked at him. She meaningfully said, I came here to give you a large gift, but I never thought that I would see such a wonderful show. After she said this, she winked at Mo Chuan. What show? Mo Chuan couldn't help knitting his brows. Of course it's a good show put on by the princess. Chen Ning's face turned serious, and she coldly said, When I opened the door, I saw you lying on the bed, but you weren't alone. Beside you was the delicate Zhao Rong princess. Emperor, please explain to me, just what is going on between you and the Zhao Rong princess? What? Mo Chuan's forehead twitched, and he looked around. Seeing Zhao Rong's disheveled appearance, his mind gave a wong sound and his back was covered in a cold sweat. He abruptly stood up from the bed and found that he was still dressed properly. He couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Only he found that his chest was wet and his bright yellow dragon robe was dyed red. His heart was filled with confusion. When he looked at the Zhao Rong princess, he found that she was in an even worse state than him. Her hair and body were completely wet. Chapter 1243. As soon as Chen Ning finished speaking, Zhao Rong Princess began to cry with a wah sound. Cousin. After Rong drank the tea, she fainted for some reason. As for what happened afterwards, Rong doesn't know at all, but suddenly Rong was awoken by her pepper water. She charged in from outside and called herself the Empress. Not only did she scold Rong, she even sent her subordinates to slap Rong-er's face. Look at Rong-er's face. Woo-woo, cousin. You have to help Rong-er? She pulled on Mo Chuan's sleeve as she cried out in sorrow. Mo Chuan mercilessly pulled his sleeve out of her hand and coldly said, Zhao Rong, you should know what you did. If it wasn't you who put the medicine in the tea, then who else could it be? If you didn't know anything and fainted after drinking the medicine with me, then why did you wake up when Ninger poured the pepper water on me and I fell asleep the entire time? Mo Chuan's words made Zhao Rong speechless. She stammered, not knowing how to lie. She saw Chen Ning looking at her with a cold smile and steeled her heart. She threw caution to the wind and said, Cousin, when Rong-er woke up, she found herself in your embrace and your hands were touching my body. Her face was filled with embarrassment and she almost couldn't continue. Cousin, Rong-er is already yours. You have to take responsibility for Rong. Take responsibility? How do you want this one to take responsibility? Mo Chuan coldly stared at her. Zhao Rong Princess shivered under his gaze and gathered her courage to say, Cousin, Rong-er has a wish since she was young. That is to marry Cousin when she grows up. Rong-er is grown up now. Cousin likes Rong-er and Rong-er likes Cousin. The Empress has just said that she doesn't want to be your Empress anymore. She said that as long as Cousin says it, she is willing to give up the Empress position. Cousin, say something. Do you want to marry Rong-er? Oh, your meaning is that she wants to give up the Empress position to you? Mo Chuan couldn't help staring at Chen Ning. Chen Ning revealed an uncaring smile and said, That's right, I'm the one who said this. Being an Empress is really boring. Even a trivial princess can order this queen around, hitting and scolding this queen whenever she wants. This queen doesn't want to be this kind of Empress. Emperor, you should be merciful and take the Empress crown away. If the princess wants it, then you can give it to her to play with. Zhao Rong Princess was filled with joy. Cousin, as long as you say it, then Rong will marry you. Mo Chuan did not even look at the Zhao Rong Princess. His eyes were like ice as he stared at Chen Ning. His heart wished he could strangle this little girl who said such strange things. Did she not care for the position of Empress that he had given her? She didn't as she wanted it? Emperor, the princess can't wait any longer. Just give the decree. Chen Ning lazily stretched out, sitting in the chair without standing up. All right, this one will give the decree now. Come, throw the princess out of the palace. Without this one's orders, she is not allowed to take a single step into the palace. End of it. Mo Chuan's voice was clear and powerful as he said this. Then with a wave of his sleeve, the princess was thrown out and fell to the ground. Cousin, what did you say? You want to throw Rong-er out of the palace? Chapter 1244. Zhui Feng, Xiaoxi, are you both deaf? Are you treating this one's words as wind? Mo Chuan's shout woke up Zhui Feng and Xiaoxi, who were in a daze. Yes, this subordinate, this servant obeys. Zhui Feng reached out and grabbed the Zhao Rong Princess collar. He picked her up like an eagle carrying a little chick and left without saying a word. The Zhao Rong Princess wanted to struggle, but her neck was being held and her limbs were sore. Only her mouth could move. Let go of me. Let go of this princess. Stinky brat, if you dare touch this princess will pull out your tendons and flay your bones. She loudly cursed while staring at Chen Ning. Don't be happy. This princess will not let you go. Zhui Feng's movement technique was very fast, and he quickly couldn't hear the Zhao Rong Princess cursing anymore. The royal study finally returned to its peace. Xiaoxi shrunk his neck, not daring to breathe too loudly. He quietly retreated and then closed the door, feeling his heart still beating fast. In the royal study, There was only Chen Ning and Mo Chuan left. Chen Ning was sitting in the chair, looking at Mo Chuan with a smile. The expression on her face was very strange, and she was tightly holding the wooden box in her chest. Mo Chuan's appearance was in a very sorry state. His dragon robe was wet and dirty, and the smell of pepper filled his nose, making him want to sneeze. His heart was filled with anger from Chen Ning's gaze. He suddenly took a step forward and grabbed her wrist, gritting his teeth. "Little girl, your husband has been tricked by someone else, and you have this kind of expression like you're watching a play? Girl, do you even have a heart? Zazie, it's not like I tricked you. Why are you acting all high and mighty towards me?" Mo Chuan's face couldn't help turning red before he angrily said, "You're purposely making fun of me, aren't you?" He was indeed angry and annoyed. Speaking of this was the first time he had been tricked by someone. It was a good thing that the Zhao Rong princess had only drugged him, otherwise he really didn't know what he would have done and made a big mistake. "How could I make fun of you?" Chen Ning shook her head. Her eyes were clear and gentle as she softly said, "Mo Chuan, it's a good thing that you care about the past, but you've never thought that she's a sheep, but she's actually a wolf in sheep's clothing. You think she's still a little sister that hasn't grown up, but she's already drugged your tea. This time it's a drug. Who knows what it will be next time? In short, you have to be on guard against others. Even if it's me, you have to be on guard against me. You have to be on guard against others, even if it is me." Chen Ning was right. He did care about the friendship he had with Zhao Rong princess. His intuition told him that she would not harm him, so he drank the cup of tea she personally poured for him. "Ninger, I can trust no one in this world, but the only person I trust is you." Chun staring in her eyes. "Xiao, Chun Tian, Mo, Chuan Ning Chuan Chuan." Chen Ning finally smiled and said, "Sweet words and a smooth tone. Ninger, do you trust me?" Mo Chuan didn't smile as he looked at her with a serious expression. "Nothing happened between me and Zhao Rong. Although I lost consciousness, I know that I didn't do anything." Chapter 1245. Mo Chuan broke into a smile and reached out to rub her hair. His heart that had been hanging in the air finally fell back down. His heart was filled with sweetness and satisfaction. He wanted to hold her in his arms, but she shrank back and avoided his arms. "There's another woman's smell on you. It's disgusting." Chun Ning had a look of disgust as she waved her hand in front of her nose. "All right, I'll go take a bath now." Mo Chuan also felt uncomfortable being wet, so he left the room with a smile. By the time he came back, he had become refreshed. Chen Ning was sitting in front of the table. She had opened the wooden box and was flipping through the blueprints page by page. She was in a daze, not even noticing when Mo Chuan came in. Mo Chuan quietly walked behind her and silently stood there for a while. Chen Ning did not notice anything as she just stared at the blueprints. He felt it was strange and leaned over to look behind her. He saw that the paper was covered in dense diagrams. At first glance, it looked like the 5 crossbow blueprints, but looking closely, it wasn't. "Ning, what are you looking at?" he suddenly asked. Chen Ning was shocked. Turning around to see that it was Mo Chuan, she let out a sigh of relief. She raised the blueprints in her hand and revealed a smile. "Didn't you already see it? This is the big present I want to give you. Do you like it?" "Naturally, I like your gift." Mo Chuan smiled as he took the blueprints from her hand and carefully looked at them. Chen Ning did not say anything. She held her chin and smiled at him. Mo Chuan's calm expression gradually became excited. This blueprint, where did it come from? Ninger, quickly tell me." His usually calm face rarely showed such an excited expression, and the hand that was holding the blueprint was trembling slightly because of the excitement. Chen Ning said with a smile, "I drew it. Do you believe me? Little girl, don't speak nonsense. This is the blueprint for the 20 crossbows. 20 crossbows. I believe that even the northern Qi country cannot make this kind of divine weapon. If they can really make it, my West Chu will no longer be afraid of East Qin's iron hooves. We will no longer have to worry about Southern Mountain eyeing our country." Mo Chuan's eyes sparkled with excitement. Seeing Mo Chuan this happy, Chen Ning's heart was also filled with joy. This is something my master worked hard to make. He gave his crossbow a name, the mountain-pushing crossbow, meaning that it has the power to push mountains. Mountain-pushing crossbow? Good name, very imposing. Mo Chuan slammed the table in praise, feeling more pride the more he saw it. Ning, I didn't expect your master to be such a genius. Not only is his medical skill godly, even his weapon-making skills are not inferior to Qi Yinyu's. I rarely admire people in my life, but I really can't help but admire your master. You've acknowledged such a genius as your master. You must seek guidance from him. Chen's eyes lit up and the smile on her face became even deeper. Originally, Mo Chuan was very resistant to Gu Qingze, but after hearing that he had taken Gu Qingze as his master, although he didn't say anything, his face was filled with unwillingness. Usually, when he addressed Gu Qingze, he would only use the 3 words Divine Physician Gu and would never mention your master. Now that he had the blueprint of the mountain-pushing crossbow, his impression of Gu Qingze had actually changed. On the contrary, he approved of Gu Qingze to the extreme and even asked him to properly consult his master. Chapter 1246. Mo Chuan, you finally approve of me, taking him as my master? Chen Ning revealed a smile, and her eyes revealed a cunning glow. It was a pity that Mo Chuan's attention was completely focused on the mountain-pushing crossbow blueprint, so he did not notice it at all. He rubbed her hair with a smile and said with a nod, "Of course I approve. Your master is a heavenly scholar, so you have to learn from him. Not only do you have to learn his medical skills, you also have to learn his mechanical forging skills. With how smart you are, you can quickly learn from him." Chen Ning said with a smile, "Master also gave me a good thing today." "What good thing?" Mo Chuan was curious. Since Chen Ning said it was good, it must not be ordinary. Spirit Rhino Pill. Spirit Rhino Pill? What is that? This is a pill that my master spent a lot of effort to refine. After taking it, you will be immune to hundreds of poisons, but it's a pity there was only one. I didn't know at the time and ate it all at once. If I knew this thing was this good, I would have kept it for you. But Master said that he would tell me the refining method and recipe for the Spirit Rhino Pill, and I would refine it for you to eat. Immune to hundreds of poisons? There is actually such a good thing in this world. Ning, you really have good fortune. Your master really has quite a few treasures on him. Mo Chuan was pleasantly surprised. He did not feel any regret that he couldn't eat it all. He just felt happy for Chen Ning. Chen Ning giggled. "That's right, my master has many treasures on him. Master said to let me study with him for a year. Mo Chuan, do you agree?" Mo Chuan said without any hesitation, "Of course I agree. To be able to receive this kind of master's guidance is simply a blessing you cultivated in your previous life. It is an opportunity that others can't even beg for. You have to learn well, and if you don't learn well, I'll spank your butt." She smiled and said, "Mo Chuan, it's good that you agree. You have to remember what you said. You're the ruler of a country, and your words carry weight. You can't go back on your words when the time comes." "Why would I go back on my words?" Mo Chuan never thought that she would dig a hole for him to jump into. His heart was filled with satisfaction as he was immersed in the joy of obtaining the mountain-pushing crossbow. His heart was filled with pride, and his thoughts had already floated tens of thousands of miles away. East Qin and the southern mountain country would never have thought that the weak and easily bullied West Chu country in their eyes would finally have a day-strong West Chu country. The so-called strong soldiers made the country strong. With a mountain-pushing crossbows, West Chu would never bow their heads to invading countries again. He would let East Qin and Southern Mountain, who were eyeing West Chu, see how strong West Chu was and how they would become a rich country on par with them. He wanted to train strong soldiers within this year and create large amounts of pushing mountain crossbows, making West Chu invincible. He would not let the iron hooves of other races trample on West Chu's land, not even a single inch. Mo Chuan's mind was filled with thoughts. He was already thinking about his revenge in a year, and his heart was filled with ambition. Although Chun Ning did not know that he had thought of all these things in an instant, seeing his eyes light up and his face turn slightly red from excitement, she knew that she had made the right decision. Mo Chuan, it has only been a short year, and we're still young. The future is still long. Chapter 1247. Ning, you just said that after you took the spirit rhinoceros pill, you were immune to poison? Mo Chuan suddenly changed the topic. Chen Ning nodded and said, Master did say that. Mo Chuan's eyes lit up and his lips slightly curled up. He looked at her with a smile that didn't seem like a smile. Does this mean that the poison in your body is already cured? Did you ask the ancient divine doctor about the matter I asked you yesterday? His eyes shone brightly, causing the hairs on her back to stand up. She immediately realized what Mo Chuan was thinking, and her face turned red. Mo Chuan, I forgot to ask my master about this matter. Wait here for me. I'll go ask him now. Like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, she jumped up and ran out. But no matter how fast she was, how could she be faster than Mo Chuan? He wrapped his arms around her slender waist and pulled her back like he was catching a rabbit, holding her in his arms. Why are you running? Are you afraid I'll eat you? His chin was placed on her ear, and his hot breath entered her ear, tickling her. Her face turned even redder, and she struggled a bit. Mo Chuan, I really don't know if the poison has been cured or not. Let me ask my master. Your master is very skilled. I believe in him. You will definitely be fine. Mo Chuan hugged her soft waist and gently held it. His ears were filled with the faint fragrance of a young girl coming from her body. He felt like his mind was intoxicated and his heart was like a monkey. He had waited for this long, and this day had finally arrived. How could he let her go? He didn't want to endure it for a second longer. He lifted her up horizontally and placed her on the soft couch. Chen Ning's face turned red. She knew what he wanted to do and shouted, No. Xiao Si said that women say one thing but mean another. Their mouths say no, but their hearts say yes. Mo Chuan's mood was very good, and he even cracked a rare joke. Mo Chuan, it's daytime right now. So what if it's daytime? Who said we can't be loving during the day? Mo Chuan directly cut her off. Chen Ning was embarrassed and angry. She glared at him and said, Not here. The scene of Zhao Rong Princess tightly hugging Mo Chuan on this couch not long ago was still fresh in her mind. She didn't want to have any bad memories from their first time. Mo Chuan immediately understood, and the smile on his lips spread to his brows. All right, let's go back to the Guanyu Palace. Chen Ning smiled without saying a word. Her hands wrapped around his neck, and she buried her face in his chest. She didn't care if it was day or night. She already wanted to give herself to him. Now that they were going to be separated for an entire year, could it be that Mo Chuan had to wait a year to consummate their marriage? Of course she couldn't. Mo Chuan knew that she had agreed, and his heart was about to jump out of his chest. He was even happier than when he obtained the mountain-pushing crossbow blueprint. As he carried her and prepared to leave, Chun Ning suddenly said, Mo Chuan, put away the blueprints. Mo Chuan said. Mo Chuan's heart turned cold. He put down Chen Ning and placed the drawing back into the box. Then he opened the secret compartment under the bookcase and placed the wooden box inside before locking it. He said Chuan Chen Ning, Chuan Ning phone. Ch. King. Emperor he king. Chapter 1248. Zhui Feng instantly turned cold as he replied, Emperor can be assured this subordinate will not take a single step away. Mo Chuan nodded. Although Zhui Feng was a slow person, he was the most dependable person. Anything given to him, he would definitely complete it, never making a mistake. Ninger, let's go. After giving his orders, he turned around to pick up Chen Ning. Using his qigong, he flew in the direction of the Guanyu Palace. When the guards and eunuchs in the palace saw this, their jaws almost fell off in shock. What kind of situation was this? The emperor was actually carrying the empress. He wasn't riding a sedan or a carriage, running faster than a horse. What kind of urgent matter had happened? Chen Ning wanted to laugh, but she was also shy. Thinking of what was about to happen, she couldn't help feeling nervous even though she had no experience. Seeing Mo Chuan's impatient appearance and thinking of how he had endured for so long, if he lost control in a bit, her delicate body wouldn't be able to take it. She was suddenly afraid and filled with regret. When they arrived at the Guan Yu Palace, Missouri Chuan carried her to the bedroom. Xiaoru was currently cleaning the room, but when she saw the two of them come in, she was shocked. "Young miss, what's wrong?" When she saw Chen Ning being tightly held in Mo Chuan's embrace, her intuition told her that something had happened to Chen Ning. "Get out!" Mo Chuan didn't want to say another word. In his eyes and heart, there was only Chen Ning. When Xiaoru heard Mo Chuan's stern voice, her face turned white in fright. However, she was worried about Chen Ning, so not only did she not leave, she even took a step closer to Chen Ning. "Young miss, are you all right?" Chen Ning's face turned red. She shook her head and said, "Xiaoru, I'm fine. You can leave first. We have something to say." "Oh." Little Ru was relieved and left, closing the door behind her. She was a bit unhappy in her heart. In the past, eldest young miss would never hide anything from her, but now, ever since eldest young miss married the emperor, she would only speak to the emperor. Even if she wanted to speak, she would have to send her away. Xiaoru pouted and sat down on the steps. She held her chin as she looked out the palace gates in a daze. She hadn't seen Xiao Si in several days. She couldn't see him in the palace, and she couldn't see him in Dr. Zhang's palace. Where did Xiao Si go? Why was the emperor here? But she still couldn't see Xiao Si's shadow. Wasn't he the emperor's personal attendant? Wherever the emperor was, that was where he should be. What she didn't know was that Xiao Si not appearing in the Guan Osprey Palace these past few days was because of Mo Chuan. It was because he could feel Xiao Ru's feelings for Xiao Si that Mo Chuan specifically told Xiao Si not to appear in the Guan Yu Palace. This made Xiao Si confused and his heart filled with panic. He thought that Mo Chuan was looking down on him, so he was secretly sad for a long time. As soon as Xiao Ru left, Mo Chuan carried Chen Ning into the room. He placed her on the soft and thick bed and kissed her without saying a word. Mo Chun said. Chen Ning's face turned red. She had just thought of a reason, but before she could say it, it was blocked by Mo Chuan. There was a soft and fragrant blanket under her, and her chin was held in place by Mo Chuan's hand, not allowing her to dodge. Chapter 1249. Her clothes had been undone by Mo Chuan at some unknown time, and her clothes were loosened. His fiery hand slid down her collar and down her soft shoulder. Woo! His hand was placed on her chest, and her heart beat even faster. Ping, 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 almost jumping out her chest. Her mouth was dry and her eyes were intoxicated. Mo Chuan's heart was beating as fast as hers. His body was as tense as a bow, waiting to be released. But he desperately endured it, telling himself not to be anxious and not to be rough. Because this was her first time, he had to be gentle. He lifted his head from her lips, took a deep breath, and looked down at her. Her cheeks were red like she was drunk, and her eyes were like stars with a thin mist. Her eyes were hazy as she looked at him. Her lips were as red as a flower from his kiss. Mo Chuan's eyes moved down from her lips and fell onto her slender and soft neck. Her skin was as fine as porcelain, so white that it almost dripped water. The clothes on her chest were open, revealing a doo-doo, and her heart was beating in his palm. That full feeling made his breathing even more chaotic, and he couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. His eyes were green like a hungry wolf, wanting to swallow her whole. Chen Ning shivered under his gaze, but she had nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. She could only lie there and let his wolf-like eyes wander over her body. Her heart was filled with nervousness and shyness. Mo Chuan suddenly lowered his head and his lips fell onto her neck, slowly moving down to kiss her. Her face turned red. Her hands grabbed his head and she gave a low cry. His handsome and elegant eyes were dyed with a thick flame of passion. That faint flame was ignited from his lips on her body inch by inch. Very quickly, it became a prairie fire that was unstoppable. Her clothes suddenly became unnecessary. Their bodies were burning hot. His fingers nimbly moved as he began to take off her clothes piece by piece. After a period of practice, he was no longer the helpless little brat that took off a woman's clothes. Very quickly, her flawless body was like a flower blooming in front of his eyes. He held his breath and stared fixedly at her. He was completely dumbfounded. On the red bed, her black hair was like a black waterfall, making her skin seem even more snow white. Her eyes were tightly closed, and her long eyelashes trembled like butterfly wings. Her teeth bit down on her lower lip, revealing her white teeth and red lips. The faint fragrance of a young girl drifted over. That soft skin was like jade, like a pearl. This was the first time he had seen a young girl's body. It was so beautiful that it made him dazzled. This was the first time he had seen a young girl's body. It was so beautiful that it made him dazzled. Ning felt a cold breeze on her skin, and she slowly opened her eyes from her drowsiness. She found that Chuan was looking at her body in a daze, and her already red face became even hotter. It was also the first time in her life that she had exposed her body in front of a man. It would be a lie to say that she was not nervous or afraid. Although she had read a lot of books about this, they were all textbooks. Now, she was facing real guns and live bullets. Because of her nervousness, her skin trembled slightly, like the dew on a flower petal, but it was exceptionally alluring. Chapter 1250. She glared at him with a shy and angry look. When he saw her face that was as red as a begonia flower, and how she was biting her lips because of nervousness, his heart filled with joy. It turned out that when his mischievous lass became shy, she would also retract her sharp tongue and become like a shy rose, unwilling to speak. But the more she didn't speak, the more he wanted to tease her. Ning, your body is really beautiful. Compared to your face, it's even prettier. He deliberately spoke in a teasing tone as he reached out to touch her shoulder. The moment his fingers touched her skin, her delicate body involuntarily trembled. Ning heard the smile in his voice and opened her eyes in embarrassment and annoyance. Before she could even say anything, his kiss had already fallen down, landing on her lips and neck. When the two of them were filled with passion and about to explode, there was a large pong sound coming from the door of the outer palace. It instantly woke up Chuan, who was immersed in his thoughts. His body trembled, and his first reaction was to quickly pull the blanket over her, tightly covering her, not revealing a single bit of skin. Hurried footsteps could be heard coming from outside the hall, hurrying towards the inner hall. Emperor, Emperor! The sound of knocking and Xiao Ci's voice came from the bedroom door at the same time. It was filled with nervousness and panic. Xiao Ci, you really are bold. Chuan stood up, and his voice was filled with anger that he couldn't suppress. No matter who it was, to be interrupted when the arrow was on the bowstring would definitely fly into a rage. Xiao Ci's body trembled in fear, and he knelt down with a plop. Please forgive me, Emperor. This servant knows that I have offended the Emperor and committed a capital crime. But this servant has just received the Empress Dowager's order to summon the Emperor and Empress to the Peaceful Life Palace. I heard that the Empress Dowager is truly angry and said that if the Emperor and Empress dare to not go, she will poison herself after the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn. He said this while kowtowing again and again. His head hit the golden brick floor with a dong, dong sound. After receiving this news, he rushed over in a panic. Even if he was punished by the Emperor, he couldn't care less. What? Hearing Xiao Ci's report, Chuan and Ning looked at each other and revealed a look of understanding in their eyes. Empress Dowager Zhou was actually threatening to kill herself. It was clear that she was very angry. For her to give this order, she must have known what happened in the royal study. She wanted to take revenge for Zhao Rong. Chuan gritted his teeth and wanted to ignore it, but he knew that Empress Dowager Zhou was not just to scare him. His mother had a strong personality, and if he really didn't go to the Peaceful Life Palace, she would do anything. Zhao Rong, All of this was caused by her. She had done this kind of shameless thing, and not only did she not repent, she even had the face to go to Empress Dowager Zhou. The flames of passion in Mo Chuan's heart were replaced by flames of rage. He jumped off the bed and walked over to open the door. Mo Chun. Chen Ning hugged the blanket as she sat up. The shoulder that was exposed outside the blanket was snow white. Seeing this, Mo Chuan's heart skipped a beat and his heart filled with hatred. If it wasn't for that damned Xiao Si messing things up, she would already be his woman by now. Chapter 1251. Mo Chuan gritted his teeth in hatred. He wished he could grab the Zhaorong princess and teach her a lesson. Mo Chuan, you change your clothes before you go. The blush on Chen Ning's face had not completely disappeared, but she was already quickly putting on her clothes. Mo Chuan finally found that the dragon robe on his body was wrinkled. Anyone with eyes could tell what had happened with a single glance. His face turned slightly hot, and he nodded. I'll wait for you outside. After he said this, he opened the door. Xiao Si was still kneeling on the ground and kowtowing. No need to kowtow, he coldly said. Xiao Si let out a sigh of relief like he had been granted amnesty. He looked up and saw that his forehead was already swollen from kowtowing. Help me change, Mo Chuan said again. Yes, Emperor. Xiao Si quickly helped Mo Chuan change his clothes. Not long after, the door to the inner room opened and Chen Ning appeared at the door with a serious expression. Mo Chuan and Xiao Si couldn't help looking at her. Although the two of them were already familiar with her beauty, their eyes still lit up. She was wearing a large red embroidered robe. Her hair was like the clouds, and she was wearing a 9-phoenix shawl. With a gentle shake, the shawl sparkled. But no matter how bright the light was, it could not take away the brilliance of her entire body. She was slender and elegant, with a dignified posture. Her dress reached the ground, and every step she took was like a lotus. It was like a red hibiscus floating on the surface of the water, beautiful beyond compare. Mo Chuan's throat tightened as he stared at her in an aggressive manner. Damn it, she dressed herself up in such a dazzling manner. Was she trying to steal his soul? He had suppressed the fire in his body with great difficulty, but now that he saw her, those flames began to stir again. You're just going to see Mother, not attending a ceremony. So why are you dressed so formally? Mo Chuan noticed that she was wearing the Emperor's clothes, and the shawl on her head was also 9 phoenix heads. Only the Empress had the qualifications to wear it. Chen Ning looked at him and revealed a gentle smile. Such beautiful clothes and jewelry. I'm afraid that if I don't wear them now, I won't have a chance to wear them in the future. Mo Chuan was stunned, but he understood her meaning. His face sunk as he said, You are the West Shu Empress. As long as I'm here, no one can touch you. She smiled and blinked before saying with a serious expression, I was just joking. Did you really think it was true? Today is the first time I'm meeting the Empress Dowager, so naturally, I have to wear formal clothes to show my respect to the Empress Dowager. Mo Chuan held her hand and looked at her. He said with a serious expression, Mo chuckle, Mo Chuan, Mo Chuan, Mo Chuan, Mo Chuan, Mo Chuan. She took the initiative into his embrace tightly and tightly. Chuan, he said, she si mo, and comma, she tightly mo, she Chuan. She took the embrace. The two, the two. The tightly, mo, xiao, mo Chuan. CHMO. Xiao Si, you're back. Suddenly, a surprised and happy voice came from behind him. Xiao Si was shocked and quickly turned around. He saw a young girl's round face in front of him. Her eyes were dark and bright. It was Xiao Ru. Chapter 1252. I was waiting for you. When did you come back? I was guarding the door the entire time. Why didn't I see you? Xiao Ru had a puzzled look on her face. She did not know that Xiao Si had received Empress Dowager Zhou's orders and quickly used a qigong to come back, directly jumping down from the roof. Xiao Si, it's good that you're back. I have a lot of things to say to you. Xiaoru said with a happy smile. Xiao Si shook his head. We'll talk about it another day. I have something urgent to do, so I have to leave immediately. How could he be in the mood to talk to Xiao Ru right now? Empress Dowager Zhou had set a time limit, and after an incense stick of time, she would have to commit suicide. This was 100 times more important than talking to Xiao Ru. Emperor, Empress, the Empress Dowager's time limit is almost up. He gave a soft cough and reminded her in a small voice. And Mo Chuan really wanted to send this annoying Xiao Si flying into the clouds, but Xiao Si was standing outside the door, and he couldn't kick him. He reluctantly left her lips and stroked her white cheeks as he said, "Once Mother's matter is over, we'll come back and continue." His words made Chen Ning's face turn red. Then she looked up and smiled at him with a wink. "Aren't you afraid of going, but not being able to come back?" Although Chen Ning had a relaxed smile, her heart was not relaxed at all. Empress Dowager Zhou had actually used death as a threat. It was clear that she was very angry. Zhao Rong Princess must have been the one to complain first, and Empress Dowager Zhou already didn't like her. Now she must have treated her as a thorn in her eyes and wanted to quickly get rid of her. "Ninger, you don't believe me?" Mo Chuan looked at her and firmly said this. He had already thought of the things she thought of, but he was confident in protecting his beloved girl, not letting her suffer any harm at all. Even if he offended his mother, he couldn't care less. Chen Ning looked at his incomparably calm eyes. It was like a little boat in a storm had suddenly entered a safe harbor, her heart instantly calming down. She stood on her tiptoes and took the initiative to kiss his lips. This light kiss, which was like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water, actually made him extremely moved. Mo Chuan spent a lot of effort to control himself. With a faint smile, he stroked her hair. "I have a few words to tell Xiao Si." He walked to the side and waved his hand at Xiao Si, whispering a few words into Xiao Si's ear. His voice was very low, and even Chen Ning couldn't hear what he was saying. Xiao Ru looked at Xiao Si's back in a daze, and she couldn't help revealing a look of disappointment as she bit her lips. Xiao Ru stared at Xiao Si's back in a daze. She couldn't help revealing a look of disappointment as she bit her lips. She had waited for a long time to finally see Xiao Si, but she had only said a single sentence to Xiao Si. Her heart was filled with an indescribable melancholy. "Xiao Xiao Tihi Xiao." Chapter 1253. No, you have to be obedient. I'm going to see the Empress Dowager. Without the Empress Dowager's summons, you can't enter the Peaceful Life Palace. Have you forgotten the rules of the palace? Chen Ning was thinking that this trip to the Peaceful Life Palace would be disastrous. If the Empress Dowager flew into a rage and wanted to punish her, if Xiao Ru stayed by her side, she would definitely be implicated. Mo Chuan could protect her, but he might not be able to protect Xiao Ru, so it was safest for her to stay here. Hearing Chen Ning's words, Xiao Ru hesitated for a bit before finally letting go. She looked at Chen Ning with a reluctant gaze, like she was about to be separated by life and death. Chen Ning's heart couldn't help feeling sour. Although she knew that time was tight, and she didn't have time to talk to Xiao Ru, she couldn't help hugging her. She said, "Good girl, wait for me here. I'll be back soon." Xiao Ru reluctantly nodded. She had never disobeyed Chen Ning's words before. Chen Ning affectionately rubbed Xiao Ru's hair again before leaving the palace with Mo Chuan. If she could predict what would happen in the future, she would not have left like this. It was a pity she didn't know. When the two of them arrived at the Peaceful Life Palace, before they even had time to step in, they heard Su Jin's crying voice coming from inside. "Empress Dowager, you can't do this. It's not time yet. The incense hasn't finished burning yet. The Emperor and Empress will be here soon." "Su Jin, shut up. If you ask for another word for that little bastard and that little slut, this widow will drag you down to be buried with this widow." Empress Dowager Zhou's cold voice rang out. "Empress Dowager, if you want to take the poison, then let Su Jin go first." "Su Jin, what are you doing?" Empress Dowager Zhou's voice instantly became filled with panic. "Stop, quickly stop." Mo Chuan and Chen Ning immediately realized this was bad. He grabbed Chen Ning and used his qinggong. quickly running through the palace doors. He saw Su Jin holding a bottle in her hand. She placed it by her lips and was about to drink it. Empress Dowager Zhou wanted to stop her, but she was too far away. Adding in the fact that it was inconvenient for her to move, she threw away her dragon head cane. Su Jin, she let out a stern shout. Su Jin turned a deaf ear. This was the first time she didn't listen to Empress Dowager Zhou. She raised her head with a firm face. Suddenly, she felt that her hand was empty. The small bottle had been snatched away by someone. Your Majesty, Her Majesty. Su Jin calmed herself down and looked at the two people standing in front of her. She was startled and immediately knelt on the ground. Emperor, Empress, you're finally here. She was so excited that tears came out of her eyes. Chen Ning pulled her up and took the bottle from Imo Chuan's hand. She gently sniffed it and said, "This is the peacock gall." When Imo Chuan heard this, his calm face couldn't help changing color. The peacock gall, the crane's crown red, and the flowered wood turtle were the three great poisons of the present age. Everyone in the world knew that once consumed, there was no cure. Because the poison was very strong and took effect very quickly. The imperial palaces had used these three great poisons as poison wine for generations. Chen Ning knew that although this poison was called the peacock gallbladder, it was not actually the gallbladder of a peacock. Rather, it was a poisonous insect that lived in damp places called the striped centipede. It was completely black and had a strong poison. As long as it touched a person's skin, it would cause the flesh to fester. It was very poisonous. Chapter 1254. It seemed like Empress Dowager Zhou was serious this time. If she and Imo Chuan hadn't arrived in time, Empress Dowager Zhou and Su Jin would already be. Imo Chuan. She reminded him in a soft voice as her eyes fell onto Empress Dowager Zhou's left hand. In her hand was the same bottle as Su Jin's. Imo Chuan's eyes narrowed as he also saw the bottle. He walked over to Empress Dowager Zhou without saying a word. "Mother, please give the thing in your hand to your son." Empress Dowager Zhou stood there without moving. Her cold eyes looked at Imo Chuan like she was looking at a stranger. Her eyes made Imo Chuan's heart ache. He had never seen Empress Dowager Zhou look at him with this kind of cold and strange eyes before. There was an incense burner beside Empress Dowager Zhou with a stick of incense burning inside. It was about to burn to the end with a small spark that seemed to be burning but wasn't burning. This incense was like Empress Dowager Zhou's mood. "Mother," Imo Chuan called out again with a slightly trembling voice. Empress Dowager Zhou coldly looked at him for a while before finally slowly saying, "Very good. You still know to call this widow mother." Imo Chuan looked down and said, "Mother will always be your son's mother. Is that so? In that case, do you still listen to what I have to say?" Imo Chuan seemed like he knew what Empress Dowager Zhou wanted to say. His lips slightly moved, but he didn't say anything. Empress Dowager Zhou held the bottle in her hand and said in a cold voice, "If it wasn't for this widow wanting to commit suicide by poison, the emperor would not have appeared in this widow's peaceful life palace, right? What are you talking about, Imperial Mother? Your son and the empress have already prepared to greet Imperial Mother." Imo Chuan respectfully replied, "Is that so?" Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes kept staring at Imo Chuan, not even looking at Chen Ning from the corner of her eyes. Chen Ning only needed to see Empress Dowager Zhou's expression to know that she was filled with hostility towards her. This was the first time she had appeared in front of Empress Dowager Zhou after her marriage with Imo Chuan. She slowly walked forward and bowed down in front of Empress Dowager Zhou. This minister's wife greets mother. Her bow was very respectful. From her posture to her movements, she was very dignified. Even the pickiest Mother Shang Li couldn't find a single mistake. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a snort and finally slowly looked at her. "Empress, your body is much better now. Why are you all dressed up like this? Are you going to a banquet or a celebration?" The sarcasm in her tone could not be any stronger. When she saw Chen Ning, she was filled with anger. She felt like she was not pleasing to the eye. Chen Ning slightly lowered her head. Her expression was very respectful, but her tone was not servile. This minister's wife has come to the Peaceful Life Palace to greet Mother. This is the first time this minister's wife has come to the Peaceful Life Palace to greet Mother. So this minister's wife has to wear a dignified dress. This is the etiquette this minister's wife should have as the Empress. Empress Dowager Zhou was choked. She wanted to use this as a pretext, but she never thought that she would be blocked by Chen Ning with just a single sentence. Moreover, she had said it in a generous manner, not letting a single drop of water leak out. She couldn't find a single mistake. The awkward expression on her face disappeared in a flash, and she immediately resumed her cold and arrogant expression. The Empress is really arrogant. You just sat on the Empress throne, and you're already using the power of the Empress to lecture people, she said meaningfully. Chapter 1255. The more polite she was, the angrier Empress Dowager Zhou became. She suddenly slapped the table and said in a sharp voice, "Stop pretending in front of this widow. Look at what you've done. As the Empress, you actually dare to not admit what you did?" She glared at Chen Ning. Chen Ning said in a gentle voice, "Mother, please calm your anger. This minister's wife really does not understand Mother's meaning. If Mother feels that this minister's wife did something wrong, please point it out. This minister's wife will definitely correct it, but please don't be angry. Mother, have you ever heard of the saying that being angry is using other people's mistakes to punish yourself? If this minister's wife did something wrong, then Mother can scold or hit me, but please don't harm your body because of this minister's wife's mistake. Otherwise, this minister's wife will be guilty." Her words were spoken in a calm and unperturbed manner. Su Jin stared at her, simply completely convinced. Being able to maintain this kind of calm tone in front of Empress Dowager Zhou's anger. The Empress was the only one. A large portion of Empress Dowager Zhou's anger had unknowingly disappeared, especially when she heard, being angry is using other people's mistakes to punish yourself. Her heart skipped a beat, and she almost nodded her head in agreement. She calmed herself down, and then her anger rose again. You think that just because you have a sharp tongue, you can talk your way out of this? Don't think you can deny what you did. All right, since you don't admit that you did something wrong, this widow will clearly tell you. Zhao Rong is a princess personally appointed by the emperor, and her father is the first-grade Duke Ning of the dynasty who was given the title of crown prince. Even this widow has not hit a single finger on her. So who do you think you are? You actually dare to hit and scold her? Do you know that hitting the princess is the same as hitting the emperor and hitting the royal family's face? Empress, you still won't admit your guilt. Chen Ning thought that it really was for the princess Zhao Rong. And Mo Chuan's face sunk, and he said, "Mother, this matter has nothing to do with the Empress. Mother shouldn't listen to Zhao Rong's side of the story." Before he could finish, he was already cut off by Empress Dowager Zhou's cold voice. "Shut up for this widow. This widow still hasn't found you about your matter. It's not your turn to speak right now." And Mo Chuan closed his mouth and looked over at Chen Ning, indicating for her to speak in a more tactful manner, not angering Empress Dowager Zhou. Chen Ning slightly looked down like she understood Mo Chuan's meaning. Unhurriedly, she said, "I believe that Imperial Mother already knows everything that happened in the Imperial study, right?" Chen Ning said, "Mother is correct. This minister's wife did send people to slap the Princess Zhao Rong. This minister's wife knows her guilt." Chen Ning said, "Mother is right. This minister's wife sent people to slap the Zhao Rong princess. This minister's wife is indeed guilty. This minister's wife knows her crime." Su Jin was shocked that she admitted her guilt so bluntly. When Zhao Rong princess came to the Peaceful Life Palace to complain to Empress Dowager Zhou, she was on the side serving her. She saw that Zhao Rong princess had several red finger marks on both sides of her face. Zhao Rong insisted that the Empress had sent guards to slap her, and she was filled with doubt at that time. She thought that the Empress was very dignified and didn't know Zhao Rong. So why would she give the order to slap the princess for no reason? Which guard would be so bold as to really make a move against the princess. Chapter 1257. Empress Dowager Zhou knit her brows and asked, "What do you mean by this?" Chenning was thinking that she would go all out. The Zhaorong princess had come to accuse her first, accusing her in front of Empress Dowager Zhou and splashing dirty water on her, so she might as well return the favor. She took out a small cloth bag and presented it with both hands. "Mother, please take a look at this, and you'll understand this minister's wife's meaning." Empress Dowager Zhou gave Su Jin a look. Su Jin picked it up and placed it in front of Empress Dowager Zhou, gently opening it. There were several flying knives inside. The edges were sharp and the cold aura was quite intimidating. The two of them did not understand and looked at Chenning. When the princess used these flying knives to attack this minister's wife, the emperor was still unconscious, and this minister's wife did not know martial arts. If it wasn't for Zhou Feng arriving in time, this minister's wife would have been killed by the flying knives. Before she finished, Empress Dowager Zhou and Su Jin both took in a cold breath. Empress Dowager Zhou said without even thinking, "Nonsense, that's impossible. There's no such thing." Chen Ning calmly said, "This minister's wife will never accuse a good person. Mother, please carefully look at the handles of these flying knives, and you'll know if this minister's wife is telling the truth or not." Hearing this, Empress Dowager Zhou and Su Jin looked at the handles of the flying knives and saw that there was a small rong engraved on the handles. The two of them recognized the Zhaorong princess handwriting. It was without a doubt Zhaorong's handwriting. Empress Dowager Zhou was speechless, and Su Jin did not doubt her at all. After the Zhaorong princess returned to the capital city and came to see Empress Dowager Zhou, she had indeed performed her flying knife skills. The size and shape of the flying knives were exactly the same as the ones in front of them. At that time, Empress Dowager Zhou and Su Jin were filled with shock and praise. Hearing Chen Ning's words at this time, even Empress Dowager Zhou's heart was filled with doubt. Could it be that Zhaorong really dared to rebel and assassinate the empress? Chen Ning saying this was not wrongly accusing Zhaorong princess. She was just purposely blurring out the location of the matter. But the truth was the truth. After Zhou Feng intercepted the flying dagger that the princess shot at this minister's wife, the princess was in a fit of anger and said a few unpleasant words, slandering this minister's wife's innocence. Mother has just said that insulting this minister's wife is equivalent to insulting the royal family's dignity. So this minister's wife sent Zhou Feng to teach the princess a small lesson. Now that I've heard Mother's teachings, I understand that this minister's wife's actions were indeed wrong. The princess committed a great crime of disrespect, and this minister's wife only had Zhou Feng slap her a few times, which was too light of a punishment. I should have listened to Mother's orders and given a heavier punishment. Chen Ning's words made Empress Dowager Zhou's chest unable to breathe, and she couldn't help coughing. Cough, 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 cough. She lowered her head, and her old face turned red. She was secretly cursing in her heart. Why was this girl's mouth so sharp, not letting anyone off with her words? She was using everything she had just said to block her own mouth. Su Jin was secretly laughing in her stomach. She came forward to pat Empress Dowager Zhou's back while saying in a soft voice, "Empress Dowager, pay attention to your body. The wind is strong here, so let's talk inside." The Empress is still kneeling. She was purposely giving Empress Dowager Zhou a ladder to step down. Chapter 1258. Yes. Many thanks, Mother. Only then did Chen Ning stand up. She still respectfully stood there. Her every movement was dignified, noble and refined. Even if Empress Dowager Zhou didn't like her, she couldn't find any fault with her, so she could only endure it. "Emperor, come here." Mo Chuan was looking at Chen Ning with a look of surprise and admiration. He simply loved her to the extreme. The girl he liked was just this different. It was unknown how many ministers saw Empress Dowager Zhou but they were like mice seeing a cat. They didn't dare breathe or say a single word. Only this girl was not servile or overbearing. She was calm and steady, taking every step carefully, falling into a trap. She had actually dug a hole, and even the experienced Empress Dowager, Zhou, had unknowingly jumped in. Interesting, this was just too interesting. Although the one suffering was his mother who raised him, he couldn't help siding with Chun Ning in his heart. This was because Empress Dowager Zhou had clearly heard Zhao Rong princess words and was purposely making it hard for Chen Ning. As a son, he couldn't go against his mother. If Empress Dowager Zhou wanted to punish Chen Ning, he would definitely come out to stop her, but this would cause conflict between the mother and son, which would hurt their relationship. Now Chen Ning had used a few short sentences to dispel his mother's thoughts of punishing her. This was truly wonderful. When he heard Empress Dowager Zhou call him, his eyes revealed a smile. He took a step forward and arrived in front of Empress Dowager Zhou. Imperial Mother. Before he could finish his words, with a pa sound, Empress Dowager Zhou raised her hand and gave him a clear slap on the face. With Mo Chuan's martial arts, how could Empress Dowager Zhou hit him? But first, his mind was on Chun Ning, so he didn't have any defenses. Secondly, he saw the angry expression on Empress Dowager Zhou's face, so he didn't dare dodge. Mother, why did you hit your son? Mo Chuan's face was filled with shock and disbelief. Although this slap didn't injure him, his face was burning hot, especially in front of everyone. This was the first time Empress Dowager Zhou had hit him, but he didn't know why he was being hit at all. You unfilial son, look at what you've done. Empress Dowager Zhou looked at Mo Chuan in disappointment and began to violently cough again. Su Jin quickly patted her back while looking at Mo Chuan with her eyes. Then she pointed in the direction of the bedroom. Mo Chuan didn't understand her meaning. His brows were tightly knit as he stared at Empress Dowager Zhou. Mother, what did your son do wrong? He asked in a deep voice. Empress Dowager Zhou stopped coughing and pointed at Mo Chuan. You did such a good thing, and you still have a nerve to ask this widow. Say, what are you going to do? Mo Chuan was even more confused. Mother, your son does not understand your meaning. Chen Ning's eyes sparkled as she looked at the room behind Empress Dowager Zhou. Her heart was filled with understanding. She lowered her eyelids and pondered to herself. I have watched Zhao Rong grow up. You and she have been childhood sweethearts since young and have a deep relationship. Chuaner, since you have done such a thing, you must take responsibility for Zhao Rong. She is your cousin. No matter what, you cannot mistreat her. If you dare to play dumb in front of me again, I will give you another big slap on the face. Chapter 1259. Before Chen Ning could speak, Mo Chuan spoke first. Mother, when did Zhao Rong become my person? There is nothing between us. Nothing has happened at all. Mother, you can't listen to Zhao Rong's side of the story. Why don't you ask your son what she did? This widow knows what Zhao Rong did, but what did you do? Why are you pretending to be confused? Emperor, a man, since you dare do it, why don't you admit it? Have you ever thought that if you don't give Zhao Rong a status, how will she live in the future? Do you know how important a girl's reputation is? Empress Dowager Zhou righteously reprimanded him. Mo Chuan couldn't help giving a cold laugh. Reputation? If she cared about her reputation, she wouldn't have done this kind of thing to your son. Empress Dowager Zhou's face turned cold. The one who did this was clearly you. Emperor, give this widow an answer. Zhao Rong, will you marry her or not? I won't. Mo Chuan's voice was powerful. You. Empress Dowager Zhou angrily raised her hand again. Mo Chuan's back was straight and his body was straight like a pine tree, with a determined look on his face. Mother, your son swears that he has never touched a single finger of Zhao Rong. It was Zhao Rong who drugged your son and then climbed onto the bed while your son was unconscious. After being discovered by Ning she beat and scolded Ning even wanting to take Ninger's life. This kind of vicious and scheming woman. You actually want your son to marry her? What did you say? Empress Dowager Zhou and Su Jin both had shocked expressions. Empress Dowager Zhou then shook her head. Emperor, this widow is too disappointed in you. In order to be irresponsible, you actually made up this kind of lie to slander Zhao Rong's innocence. Zhao Rong is a child this widow has watched grow up, and she's a bit arrogant, but she is not as scheming and vicious as you say. Don't believe the nonsense of others. This widow definitely does not believe that Zhao Rong is that kind of person. Mo Chuan saw that Empress Dowager Zhou was determined to protect Zhao Rong Princess and knew that no matter what he said, Empress Dowager Zhou wouldn't believe him. However, if he didn't explain this matter clearly, Empress Dowager Zhou would force him to marry Zhao Rong. Xiao Si and Zhu Feng were also there when it happened. If Mother doesn't believe me, you can call Xiao Si over and ask him. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a snort. Who doesn't know that Xiao Si is your confidant? He will say whatever you say. How can you believe this slippery brat's words? Mo Chuan saw that Empress Dowager Zhou was being unreasonable, so he directly said, "All right, since Mother keeps saying that your son will take responsibility for Zhao Rong, if your son really does something bad to Zhao Rong, your son will naturally take responsibility, but your son will not take responsibility for something he didn't do." He wanted to use this to shut Empress Dowager Zhou's mouth, but he never thought that after Empress Dowager Zhou heard this, her eyes would light up. Very good. Emperor's words are enough. If this widow doesn't have evidence, she definitely won't force you to take responsibility for Zhao Rong, she said confidently. Mo Chuan's heart was filled with doubt as he asked, "Evidence? What evidence?" Empress Dowager Zhou did not reply and clapped her hands together. "Someone, go and call the 2 nannies who are checking the princess' body over." After a while, 2 white-haired nannies wearing 4th-grade palace robes came in front of Empress Dowager Zhou and bowed down to her. This servant greets the Empress Dowager. When the 2 of them appeared, Chen Ning couldn't help feeling happy. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.